Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, getting better. I'm Ben Hansen, back and rested from vacation. You can hear the chill ocean waves coming through my voice box. I'm joined by Haley McLean.
Hi, sisters.
Hey, welcome. We're also joined by Sarah Podorski.
Hello, I'm unrested, clinging to my last straw.
Well, I would think you'd be rested. You haven't been on the show, you mentioned, in 2026 yet, so we're delighted to have you.
Oh yeah, this is my first time on the podcast in 2026,
gosh, really?
and it only took me playing 3 games to get invited.
Sarah, for the record, I beg you to come on the show every week.
Untrue, he doesn't. Don't listen to that.
It's outrageous.
This is a cover-up. It's a cover-up.
We're also joined by Kelsey Lewin.
Hi.
Hi. Also joined by Jeff Murkia Fivvy.
That's me, I guess.
He wanted that nickname. I didn't want to give it to him, but he's like, you got to spice up my name
Murkia
somehow. You got
Fivvy?
Murkia Fivvy. He said he wanted me to pronounce it as.
Yeah. Say it
welcome.
exactly. You nailed it.
Great, thanks.
You gave me what I wanted.
Haley, thanks for hosting the show the last couple weeks. It was super fun to listen to.
I feel like I know so much more. I know I hosted before, but doing it repeatedly over multiple weeks, it's a lot of mental load. Snaps for Ben. This is hard. It's a lot of work.
I'm convinced that's why you take vacation. It's like, you guys want to see how hard my life is? Fine, I'll leave for a week, and you can see what I deal with
And
every
I
day.
sit on the Puerto Rican beaches with my arms crossed, saying, yeah. I hope they kiss my butt.
Listening to the podcast going, meh. This seems like she's doing a bad job. Good.
I told her the windows should be on the left, not the white. What doesn't she understand about
I always forget that.
It doesn't matter.
Always the thing I forget.
Truly does not matter, but it's fun listening to Bonus Pod. Like, you and the new production assistant, Nick, kind of running through, like, communicating with me and how particular I can be, which I totally get. And it's like, I hope it's not too particular. It's just a matter of, like, we've just been doing things for 6 years a certain way now, and so it's a lot to offload. It's just like this weight, this I don't know, just big old, I don't know,
things you don't even think of.
Yeah, just bag of technical history you're dragging with you like Santa's bag behind you as you lug it along for all these years. Is this analogy working in any way?
Does it help that chat says they've never noticed that's even a thing?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. It's a very important thing.
So all that worrying you're doing is actually not resulting.
Yeah,
in anything?
Ben's gonna break something after this. They don't even care. They don't appreciate it.
But welcome to the show, everybody. We're here to talk about some good games. We're talking about Pokémon Pokopia. Questionable name.
Pokopia.
Great game. Then we're talking about Esoteric Ebb. Questionable name. Great game. Then we have a ton more that we're going to be talking about as well. We are going to be talking about Big Walk. Kelsey got to play the new game from the developers of Untitled Goose Game. Very exciting. We're going to do a quick check-in with Jeffem on Slay the Spire 2, but we'll get more to that next week, of course. We're going to be talking about Deadlock, some other surprises in there, and we're going to be talking about the future of Xbox with the announcement of Project Helix, which is their next console. More of a fusion of PC architecture than ever before, and what they've revealed about it at GDC this week and all that stuff. We'll be talking about that in a big way. And shout out to Jacob Geller, his first time at GDC, and Janet Garcia is at GDC as well. We'll be talking to them in the future about what they're learning being on the site, all that fun stuff. But I'm excited to gather this group together to worship our one and only Lord, Ditto the Pokemon, and the wonderful things that Ditto has brought to us with Pokémon Pokopia, which I am so delighted that this game turned out well. I feel like it was like, right when it was announced, like, hey, this is funny. What a funny, odd thing. Ditto as a human? Gross. All right, maybe that'll be good. And I feel like over the months now, there's just been this growing feeling of like, wait a minute, could this game actually be super, super good? And then it came out and the conclusion is, yes, Pokopia is like one of the best Pokemon games in years.
Highest rated Pokemon game.
It is like I think one of my most favorite Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It's insane. This game, the way this game has snuck into my life and just taken it over. It feels almost like they were irresponsible for making it, knowing that it has messed up my life completely.
Okay, in terms of just schedule or like now how you see every other Pokemon game, it's like twisted your perception.
All I want to do is play the game. Like I go to my 9 to 5, I stop my 9 to 5, and then I clock in Pokopia. I say, all right, let's get to work, okay? I run a tight ship. You know, those Pokemon are working, okay?
Yeah, this is the biggie. So, Jeff, you've been playing Pokopia too?
Yeah. I
Okay.
can't stop.
Awesome.
It was real cruel of the game industry to release Slay the Spire 2 and Pokopia at the same time. What
Yeah.
are you doing to me?
I was such a fool. On my vacation, I brought my Steam Deck. Like, oh, I'll play some odds and ends. This should be a good time. I didn't bring my Switch too because I'm like, there's nothing I'm dying to play. I did not time out the math that Pokopia is going to be releasing when I was down there.
No,
So I was
that's good
sitting
though,
down there.
because then you would have spent your entire vacation playing Pokopia. And
Yeah.
not enjoying your vacation.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So Pokopia, it is on the Switch 2, of course, not on Switch 1, although you can do the weird thing where you can game share, stream it to Switch 1, technically, yada, yada, yada. But this is from Omega Force. So this is not a Game Freak game. This is Omega Force, who has just built up so much.
And it shows.
We'll talk about it. But they have built up so much goodwill working with so many other brands. Like they got Dynasty Warriors, of course, but then they've partnered with so many games. And like what One Piece, Hyrule Warriors, Dragon Quest Heroes, Persona 5 Strikers, Fire Emblem, more specifically Dragon Quest Builders. This really feels like, what if we took the model of Dragon Quest Builders, which is kind of Minecraft, but with more guidance and shockingly well done, and applied it to Pokemon and just kind of blown it out from there. And it turns out it is an unbelievable experience. Like I was watching a little bit of like Kyle Bossman's stream before I got to play this game. That's how I was kind of living out my fantasies on the beach of playing Pokopia at home in the cold Minnesota winters. And even just like the music, I was like, oh, I was not prepared for just like an avalanche of like Pokemon Red and Blue remixes with the music that's going to get me so in the mood to tackle this thing. But correct me if I'm wrong. I am still early on in this game. You all are devoting your lives to it. Big picture wise, light Minecraft elements, but mainly kind of Minecraft meets Animal Crossing. You're collecting Pokemon, trying to make them happy. That's the big picture loop we're in.
Yeah,
Light
but
in
it
Sarah's
has like,
eyes. She should go first.
yes. It has an interesting amount of depth to it. Because
Yeah.
when I was watching the trailers for Pokopia, I was thinking like, all right, it's got Animal Crossing terraforming in it. And then
Hated
all
the
I have to
arms,
do
the ditto arms.
And it's
Hated
like all I
those.
do is put a bush together with something next to it and a Pokemon shows up and they're like, I like this bush. And I'm like, okay, you can move in. And like I thought that's all it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was like incredibly shallow. But it has this like, first of all, the game is enormous. I am still finding new areas.
It's huge.
And all the new areas are like different biomes in the Pokemon world. And each of them have sort of been devastated by what they hint to be like an environmental disaster, right?
Right.
And there's no humans, and all the Pokemon have disappeared as well. So it's like your job is to bring the environment back to acceptable levels, bring the Pokemon back. But it'll hit you in the weirdest way where you're like making a field of flowers and then you walk over and you're like, what's this book on the ground? And you pick it up and it's like, it's a human diary and it's like, we're evacuating today and I hope that I get to see my precious Pokemon again. And you go, oh, I'm going to put that down and unpack that later. But I'm going to go talk to Drifloon because that's too much for me. But yeah, it's absolutely insanely, like the depth to it's insane. All the building thing customizations you can do is crazy. The worlds are crazy. They have all these little like Pokemon Easter eggs within it.
Yeah.
Like the ship, the SS Anne, is there in the distance and you could go to it and rebuild it and you're like, what the? It's huge. Literally, I am overwhelmed with how big this game is.
Yeah. It's fun to like role play it as like post-apocalyptic. Like I'm playing as Ditto trying to impersonate the trainer that I was in like Pokemon Red and Blue and to think of all that stuff happening in the past. And it's weird how like a simple hook like that of like, where did all the people go? Tell me more. I am so intrigued by the world crumbling in this Pokemon universe. Kelsey, you
I'm
digging
not
it?
particularly far. Yeah, I'm not particularly far in yet because I was working at Comic-Con all weekend when it came out. So I've only been playing for a couple of days, but I am super into it. The one thing I'm curious about, though, because you mentioned the SSN, like I feel like this world just Kanto? Like, because they also
it's Kanto.
reference like the bike path. Like, I mean, is it like geographically when you lay it all out, is it just going to like be Kanto when you're done?
I don't think so. It has remnants of the town underneath, all the dirt and stuff, and it's so satisfying to like clean some dirt and you see the road that used to be the road that was,
Yeah.
and it looks like
It's giving
like
Pompeii.
it's giving Pompeii, but it's so satisfying because there's just enough structure there for you to be like, oh, okay, I'll set up my town this way. It's like a nice
Right.
natural guidance.
Yeah.
But you kind of do reveal, I won't do spoilers, but there's bigger buildings later that reveal more of like, you'll recognize that, oh, this is that building from a game. But I don't think it's necessarily one-to-one or anything. It's kind of just like, a general, like, this kind of looks like there is a Palatown, like it's named that, but it doesn't look like Palatown. And this kind of looks like Vermilion City, but not really. Like, it's just like suggested sort of thing.
It's such a good idea. And I'm sure other games have done this, but kind of just like, hey, we're taking a game that, kind of looks like Minecraft in theory, but it's all just about improving the entire area. It's basically like, hey, here's Grandpa's farm, but it's the entire world. And that satisfaction of like, all right, it's a dirty mess at first, but let me just slowly clean this up. And now I'm getting different Pokemon's abilities.
And I think that's like
the
the secret sauce to it, right? Is like, if you told me like it was a blank slate, I would get really overwhelmed and I wouldn't know where to put the houses and I wouldn't know where to put the roads. But when you come to these worlds, you literally like you excavate them and you're like, oh, I can tell that a house was here. I can choose to put a house there, right? And they like gently guide you in a certain direction for how you can repair the town. Yeah. Obviously you have final say, but I really love the guidelines so I don't get like completely overwhelmed with like, oh, I don't know where to put this house. Like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah. Jeff, I'm trying to think of, are you Dragon Quest Builders guy?
Yeah, I really like Dragon Quest Builders, and definitely the vibes here are on point. I've played probably like 20 hours, and last night was the first time that I've gone to another biome. And once I got there, I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was going to be doing like this core thing that I spent 20 hours on and enjoyed, and doing that in all these other places. So I'm a little overwhelmed at the moment as well. But the other obvious comparison is Animal Crossing, because you're even like you can go to a dream island once a day, and that's just like a basic. I
want to interject real quick because everyone's like, this is like Animal Crossing. I want to be very clear. This is like Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is nothing like any Animal Crossing before.
Okay.
Right. Yep. She's the expert.
All right. She wrote the book. Everyone relax. That's true.
Well, I think it's an important distinction because you really are doing the sort of like, you can do whatever you want in this space, and maybe the Pokemon around you might say like, oh, it'd be cool if I had a toy or whatever. But like in general, you're making the final say. You're not like moving into a town kind of thing. You are starting from scratch.
Yeah. You're King Ditto, kind of.
You're King Ditto.
Yeah.
I was going to say as far as that analogy goes, it is like Animal Crossing New Horizons, but also like there's a billion things to do all the time. Like there's not that sense of like, okay, I logged in today, I did the 3 things that I can do. There's not a ton left for me to do. Like it's an infinite list of all of these little things that you can do. Pokemon are constantly running up to you, asking for help on different things, and then you're constantly finding new ones. And I was surprised by how much I like that. I like the characters in Animal Crossing and like interacting with them and stuff like that. But I wasn't expecting, as not the hugest Pokemon fan, I wasn't expecting like the nostalgia hit of like, well, it's like an Animal Crossing person, but it's Squirtle. I really like Squirtle. I'm going to build him an especially nice house and pal around with him. And then the abilities that you get from all of them. Also, like, there's no, like, you have an energy meter. And the first time that I ran out, I was like, okay, I have to go sleep now. And unless you unlock something later, like, that's not a mechanism. Like, you just eat food and then you keep on going all the time forever and ever.
Yeah, I was worried because it has that like real-time clock to it that Animal Crossing has, which I was like worried. I was like, am I going to run out of things to do? But it's like, you don't run out of things to do. It is a little annoying because it takes them a full day to build buildings. And I feel like that could be sped up a little bit. You just do that at 4:50
in the morning.
That's literally,
and then you're going to have to wait 10 minutes.
I literally was up at midnight and I was like, I just need to knock out these Poke Centers and get this off the list so then when I come back tomorrow, they're built.
Haley, you can't breathe. You can't think.
I can't think. I can't breathe. I'm obsessed with this. I watch videos all day. And you know what's tough is I'm such a decorator person. I did my whole island in New Horizons and then I deleted it and then did a whole second island again, city theme. I love decorating. I'm so obsessed with like taking the parts they give you, the little Lego pieces, and making something, be like, oh, that's a unique way to use that. I love that kind of stuff. It just is so fun. And I already know I'm going to play like 400 hours of this, and I'm only like 30 hours in. I just know it because of how enticing it is. I've laid out where I want to put my big museum, but I don't have enough blocks to even do the foundation. So I just have it over there, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to add to that once I finish the game, I guess. And it's just like the anticipation is so divine. All I'm doing is just getting ready to build, I guess, over tens of hours. Watching content of like, and it's so early in release that people aren't really building stuff yet. They're just like finishing the game. So I'm so starved for content. Literally every morning I Google Pokopia decorating speed build, and there's like 2 new videos. I'm like, like feral for them. I watch them so fast. Shout out horrible gaming and Zoybean. They're like the only 2 girlies out here already building. They're grinding. I know they probably played till 6 a.m. multiple days to get that content out. And I'm watching it. I'm obsessed. I want to build your train station that you built. It looks so good. Like that's how invested.
It's
And this is one of those games where like,
know, right?
what I'm worried is like I get so like bogged down by the details, like replacing every single cracked tile with like a not cracked tile.
Yeah.
But I think this is one of those games where you kind of want to like rush-ish the main storyline because you do get like better power-ups and stuff that make doing everything else easier. But yeah, I'm so nervous that I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to spend 10 hours replacing these tiles, I better not beat the game and suddenly there's like, they all just become nice again or I'll lose it.
You got to watch for that because I spent the first like 5 hours watering, and then no spoilers, but you don't have to do that later.
Don't
like
water the grass.
Don't water the grass.
You have to. Don't water the grass.
Don't do it.
Just do the main story.
Mistake. Yes, you don't have to just water some habitats and then.
I've watered so much grass.
I know. I watered the whole
I need
area,
to paint
Kelsey.
it. It's not green. I need to paint the whole town green.
No.
You don't have to.
It's interesting to hear like, it working so well systems wise, planning wise, design wise, but like Haley, as somebody who struggled a bit with the last Pokemon Legends game, do you feel like it's kind of like nailing a Pokemon satisfaction for you as well?
Yes.
Okay.
The Pokemon stuff is so good. They all have their little personalities. Like I got Dartrix and he's like a little emo boy. He's like, oh, my hair. And he's like touching it all the time. He's like, I look really good today. Can I have a mirror? And I'm like, sure. And I give it to him. Like, I just love that they have little personalities. There's so many unique animations that I don't even have to be around to see. Like my Bulbasaur was talking to Combi and he took his vines and made a little heart while he was talking to Combi. And I've never seen that in 30 hours. I was like, why has he never done that for me? What the hell? And they're so sweet. I've actually already gotten to max environmental on the first area.
What's the max number?
10.
Jesus.
It can't go higher than 10. And that also unlocks more recipes and stuff, so you're incentivized to make the Pokemon really happy because then you get better building stuff. And then also it doesn't stagnate. So once you get to 9, if you go and like wreck all their habitats, it goes back down to 2. They get really pissed off. Like I gave a Railu some balloons and he went up to awesome. He's like, I love balloons. I'm like, yay. And then I took them away because I need to do it for a different habitat. And he went down to like iffy and he was so pissed. I was like, and it knocked down my whole rating down. I was like, I'm so sorry. I got him more balloons and put it back.
Yeah, these Pokemon some of them are a little picky because like I had one living in a bush and I was like, oh, you don't have to live in this bush. I built you a house. And then he was like, man, I flippin' hate this house. And I was like, fine, go back to your bush then. Go back to your bush. What do you want from me? And like, I feel like you don't want this.
There's logic. It's like the Bulbasaur wants to be outside because he eats sun. Like, that makes sense. He eats sunlight. So if you put him in a house, he's like, ugh.
I never got
Charmander wants a house because when it rains, he runs inside because he's scared of his tail going out. There's a ton of stuff like that.
So
it's
good.
really sweet.
But the biggest question is, Haley, are you burying your wires? Are you burying the electrical system?
Sarah, later on you get something you don't have to care about wires anymore.
I knew it!
I know! That's why you got
I just spent 5 hours burying my wires because I was like, oh, if the government won't do it, I'll do it.
The wires are so ugly, and you gotta keep going, and then you get an item, and you don't have to worry
This is what I mean!
Yeah.
You gotta just think the way I'm approaching this, other than watering the grass, apparently, is I'm thinking of this as like a long-term sculpture, and I'm gonna like vaguely lay out some stuff, but I'm gonna try to get through the game, and I will like make that stuff pretty once I'm further in the game, and I'm hoping that strategy works out for me.
I think that's exactly right, and that's what you have to do. There's also an underlying thing in this game that I'm slowly figuring out. It's so fun, like even guides aren't out for yet, and I think this is my theory that every Pokemon has one item they love, and they flip out. And I found it for 2 Pokemon. And it's so satisfying. Torchic likes torches, and I was like, that makes sense because it's in its name. But I put a torch down next to Torchic, and it lost its shit. It was like, it like had unique value. I was like,
that's my
so
name.
Happy.
It's like when it hails outside
for
for you.
Venomoth, I just had this like flower basket. I put it down, and it was like, oh my god! And I like, got so excited, and it's so fun to sort of like, oh, Hitmonchan probably wants the boxing thing, or like figuring out what's everybody's favorite little thing and putting it in, and they'll jump up like 4 happiness levels if you find their happy thing, and that's so fun. And now every time I pass Venomoth, it's like at the bush, and it's like, yeah, it's like having so much fun. I'm like, this is so great. It's so I'm so obsessed with it.
But then it's like the other layer of this is Pokemon being like, I wonder if I'll ever get to see my human again. I really miss them. And you're like, oh god.
I mean,
do you remember? I think I lived near a pond. Did you live near a pond? Yeah, like there used to be kids out there. That was cool. What happened to those guys?
Like, whatever. Is anybody else weirded out by just Pokemon talking so much? Like, I never really got into the mystery dungeon game, so I'm not used to this. I'm not used to like.
It was weird to begin with.
Yeah.
But then
because you are a Pokemon.
Yeah.
It makes
some
more
of them
sense
have accents that I don't personally agree with.
Like the Yo Pokemon. Like,
no spoilers, but some of the Pokemon have accents that I don't agree with.
It's offensive.
But then,
I don't know if I know what you mean.
Well, then my Bellsprout came up to me and it was like, I think when I grow up, I'm going to be a beautiful flower. And I was like, okay, Bellsprout, that's not going to happen, but I love you. And then I gave him the nicest house. See, there's a hierarchy of my Pokemon where like the cute Pokemon get the nicer houses first.
Smart.
And then...
Do you guys exile the freak Pokemon to like a different section of the map?
I
will. I got them in a cave. I got them in a cave.
Yeah, I made like a bushy area, and I think it's what Bellsprout wants, and so I was super excited. And then a Cacturn jumped out, and I was like, "No, this
not
is
you,
not."
buddy.
I led him out into the desert, and I made another area, and this was before I knew that this was an actual thing. But I was like, "Can I just like take this guy out and convince him to live out here all by himself?" And then you could. I got out there, and I was like, "Hey, what do you think of this? Do you want to live here?" And he was super excited about it. I was like, "Great."
It's all the evils of Animal Crossing New Horizons. The like, I don't like you. You're not pretty enough. You don't belong on my island.
Hit them with a bird net until they want to move.
And then Cacturn, he still keeps showing up because if you build the roads or whatever, they'll travel around. And I was like, what are you doing back in the good time?
Oh no, Cacturn!
It has expanded enough. There are enough Pokemon that he's not quite as shunned as he was. There are more rejects out there that he's living with.
I need to see Jeff from Reject Island. Like, I need to see it.
Pokemon Red.
I assumed you were talking about like Timber and those. Anyone from that line is no, thank you. I'm like, why does it have to be you helping me build my house?
Why are you being mean to the Pokemon, you freaks? They're all beautiful.
Some of them gotta go.
Most of them are beautiful.
Which, speaking of beautiful, the most beautiful ever. This is really somehow 2026. It's the time for Tangela to rise. Like Tangela front and center in Winds and Waves trailer. Tangrowth is like the main point of contact in this game. For some reason, like Tangela's the new Eevee, guys. I was right the entire time.
They are really Tangela the best. On us.
Yeah,
2026 is the year Tangela for sure.
There's no doubt.
Ben, you got a shout out in one of our Sarah's Loaded Gun segments in Pew Pew Bang for we called Tangela a good pick, like a respectable pick.
Really,
so. It was in response to my bad picks apparently that everyone hated.
Well,
congratulations.
Join the $5 tier on Patreon to find out why. Do you think Pokemon Pokopia, if we're all going to play another 400 hours of this game or whatever the hell, like, is this, I'm trying to get a sense of where you think it's going to be. Like, is this now Hall of Fame Pokemon spin-off games? Top 3 not mainline Pokemon games. Is it Pokopia, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Snap? Is that where we're at?
I think so. I don't know. I mean, Pokemon Go is like iconic, but in terms of gameplay,
it doesn't really count in my head, sort of thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's
I feel like it definitely does.
It is, but it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I hear that. And it's like everybody's so nostalgic about different things. Of like, Stadium. I love Stadium, but you got to be realistic at some point about like it's not like a great game. Sorry, everybody.
Stadium is responsible for some of my favorite gaming sessions as a child, but I think that is the nostalgia talking.
Whereas Snap holds up. It's as good as Dota 2. Everyone agrees the gameplay is as good and tight as it could possibly get. But it's awesome to see them let another studio take a crack at Pokemon and for that studio to knock it out of the frickin' park this hard. Mm-hmm. And Haley, that's just feeling a white hot rage about, come on, Game Freak. What are you guys doing? You could have made this crap the entire time.
I'm shutting up. Winds and Waves looks good.
You're right.
This is a great spin-off Pokemon. I'm shutting up.
Yep.
No, you're huffing
I'm huffing, and I love it. I'm so happy. This is so good. The other thing that this game does that I haven't really seen a cozy game do is like it has the Dark Souls thing of you come back to the main town after you go exploring, and it's so satisfying. I'll go down a tunnel, and they have this specific color of rock that's like destroy me rock, and it's implying that there's a secret back there. And last night I literally spent 5 hours in the mines, and then I ended up back at the hometown, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be so fun because then I can have a whole track that like goes in there to do all my smelting and then come back around. It was just, and it literally gives Dark Souls. I broke down the wall and I was back at like the Pokemon Center. I was like, what? How am I back here? It was so fun.
That's awesome. All right, well, I'm sure we'll be checking in with Pokopia for a long time before it's crowned as MinnMax's Game of the Year for 2026. But
I'm so like, somebody was like, Sarah, is this gonna be on your GOTY list? I was like, no, it won't, you stupid idiot. And now I'm like, oh no, it's gonna be in my GOAT. It's gonna be at the top.
Nothing wrong with it. And like it was a weird gut check time to come back from vacation, and it was like, all right, Resident Evil Requiem and Pokopia. I'm like, I'm kind of much more excited to drive into Pokopia. I'm very excited for Requiem as well. That it's like tearing up the charts and kicking butt, and everybody's loving it. But like, yeah, I jumped to Pokopia first. But hey, in general though, like, you know, no spoilers, and we got the deepest dive rolling. If you want truly the best, most thorough discussion about Requiem on the internet, but like, Haley, Sarah, where are you sitting with Requiem at this point? Are you loving it, liking it? Where are you at?
Eating it up.
Eating it up. Sickos.
Eating it up. It's great. It's up there now. One of my favorite Resident Evil experiences easily, and it's such a perfect balance of fan service and new stuff. Like Sarah and I, when we went into it, we're like, oh, I hope we like Grace. Like we were genuinely nervous we wouldn't like Grace, and we love Grace now. They did a great job with her. She's such a great character. The antagonist in this is great. Leon is so tropey and fun, but all that is just makes me happy. The game looks fantastic. It plays really well. I will say, I think we haven't finished playing the second part yet. We're going to be finishing that tomorrow on stream, but I definitely am leaning more of like the front area is some of the best. And then I don't love the second part as much, but it's still strong that I really like it. But that first like care unit area is one of my favorite horror game things ever. It's such a good location.
Oh, Sarah, you're in the same camp overall?
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely like gonna be one of my favorite Resident Evil games. It like nails. They perfected Resident Evil. I feel like with these last couple of games, like Resident Evil is its own thing entirely. I feel like, and they just like perfected it. Yeah. Like every time a new game comes out, you're like, oh, they did it. They discovered the sauce.
Yeah, over and over again. Yeah.
The good job Capcom award that we had for the first couple of years of MinnMax. It was like they really get it.
So
what they're
solid
doing with that series.
They're the best out there at this point. It's unbelievable. Yeah, but if you want a lot more Resident Evil Requiem discussion, check out the Deepest Dive. First episode's up now on YouTube and in that bonus podcast feed if you're a $5 supporter. And if you're a Patreon supporter at any tier, you can submit a comment for the second and final discussion. We'll have one up this coming weekend. So I think the 14th, that post will be up on Patreon. So you can jump in at the $2 tier, submit your comments for them to read during the final discussion to unpack the ending of that game in a huge way. Haley has not gotten to this game yet. A lot of people haven't gotten to this game yet. Sarah, Esoteric Ebb.
Yes.
I am excited to talk to you about Esoteric Ebb. Seems like it came out of nowhere, and it is just like this other little bubble of people who are playing it being like, this is the best. Please don't overlook this. If you love Disco Elysium, a lot of Planescape Torment love as well. Like, hey, if you like CRPGs and D&D, please don't overlook Esoteric Ebb. Is that the arena we're working with here?
Yes, this was definitely on some people's radars, but it's something that like I feel like it should be on more people's radars. Yeah. Essentially what the game is, it is rooted in D&D, and you wake up as a cleric without any memories. You know that you're in this town to solve a mystery of an exploding tea shop, and there's an election coming up, and that's like really important to you because there's like 5 different political parties all fighting over, and they're all you'll recognize these, political parties. They're normal, I would say, for the average person, but
it's the best setup for that election stuff too. It's like a text in the beginning where it just says, quote, 5 days before the first ever election.
Yes.
That is a cool place to jump
hits.
into a world,
Mm-hmm. And they do the game sort of speaks to you like a DM in the beginning of the game when you're like making your character. They have a few like pre-builts for you, and it's not, you're a cleric, so you're magic based, but like some of the backgrounds are like little weirdo. And they're like, you're just a little weird guy. Or like another one was like a newsboy. You're like, you run a newsstand and you like to sell papers. So it's not afraid to get weird.
Yeah.
But it definitely incredibly dialogue heavy. There's a lot of reading. So you have to be down for reading. You should know what the rules of D&D are, because the game does explain them, but not in a way that I feel like if you've never played D&D before, you would be able to grasp.
It's a lot of popping up on the screen like, wait, what is this term? Why are there numbers with this now? It's assuming a lot of knowledge, but you can keep rolling with it and understand it. It's not going to be
Does playing
off.
Baldur's Gate count? Like, if you've played Baldur's Gate, you will understand
You'll get it, but it's a little more strict than Baldur's Gate was.
Okay.
Like, as a cleric, they're like, you still have to go to the shrine every day to, like, prepare your spells. And I'm like, I've literally never done that. I just cheat that in D&D. I go, yeah, I prepped that.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So it's a little more strict on the laws, but what's interesting is you'll go through the game and you think you're just making these, like, innocuous dialogue choices. There's so many dialogue trees. But the game is, like, remembering. So it's like, I'll say something and they're like, this is the 3rd time that you've asserted that you were a cleric, and we will write that down, that you are going down the cleric path. And I'm like, wait. There's like, because there's other options? Because you could go down different paths. They assert what political party you've chosen. And they're like, this is like the 2nd time that you've said that you're voting for this party. And like, we've noted that down in your like character sheet, that this is what you're going for. It's a lot more dialogue than it is fighting, at least in the first half of the game. So it's like, you're not very combat heavy, but also you're like a level 1. You do level 1, I think, to level 6 D&D. So yeah, you're level 1. You don't got a lot of spells. You don't got too many spell slots. You get spells from exploring. But the root of the game is I feel like it balances humor with a weird depth and meta that I was playing this game, I was like, is this a game for smart people or a game for people who think they are smart? And I'm like, both and neither is how I would describe it.
Yep.
Because these characters are all so self-aware and they all have very common philosophical beliefs and stuff. And like, at one point you're like hemming and hawing on the meanings of gender. And like, what does that mean? But then like 5 minutes later, I told this guy that I still live with my mom, and I took a dice of damage and I died because I was so embarrassed. My character, I like told this guy that I lived with my mom. I was like, well, we'll just be honest and tell him that I live with my mom. And like, I took damage and died.
That's so funny.
It is. That's exactly it. It's the magic fusion where I think normally, being naive, I would be like, okay, a game that's really inspired by D&D, I don't think I can get into it, even though I like aspects of D&D. But it is like the tone, like knowing that it has such a looseness to it and such a great sense of humor. It's like, yeah, that's really approachable, even if you're seeing there's some systems under the hood here that you might not fully grasp. And I think that's kind of the magic, at least of the early areas of Esoteric Ebb.
I was going to say, how's the combat?
I've literally only been in like one combat interaction, and I don't think it's not like the Baldur's Gate top. You don't like move around the map.
Okay.
It's more like turn-based. You just kind of stand, and it's like so-and-so is here. But yeah, they encourage you to not do a lot of combat on your first day because you're still level 1. The game describes it as 5 days, and each day is like a session of D&D.
Awesome.
And like the person will speak to you as the DM. So like I chose something and they were like, I will make sure that for your campaign, we will focus on XYZ. So it's like, I'm so interested on what different playthroughs there are. Cause like a few of them are like really obvious. Like you could just be like the, just a murder person who murders everyone. You could go full charisma. You could like do this and that. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it breaks down. And like, these choices matter, but how much?
Yeah. It's only on Steam right now. Raw Fury is the publisher, and then Christopher Bodegard is the developer. And looking into his history.
Solo?
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
God.
at least that's the way it's listed. I'm sure he had help in some ways. But he worked on like the narrative for Raft from 2022, which I thought Raft was so cool, that survival game. And then he also apparently worked on Gory Cuddly Carnage, which is like a weird hidden gem from 2024 that was surprisingly cool. It's like the cat on the skateboard thing. But awesome, seemingly out of nowhere in my world. But Sarah, I'm glad you're digging it. I'm very curious.
It was
to
on
hear.
my radar. Don't worry.
You're on top of it.
I got my eye on these.
Check back in for like how it concludes without spoilers. But I'm just curious, like if it wraps up and builds in a cool way. I want to see the scope of Esoteric Ebb. Haley, would you like to stop reading about Esoteric Ebb and hearing about Esoteric Ebb and clap out?
I was checking
and
if
go
he's
play the game?
incorporated because I was worried about his personal liability.
You lawyer dork.
I know. I DM'd Haley about this. I was like, "What are like the laws of D&D?"
The D&D open source license is fascinating. Like, all that drama in 2023 that happened, and then they Creative Commons did. That's a whole other conversation. I think I'm leaving, so I won't go into it.
All right, sorry, you got other things to do.
We'll
But
miss you.
all right,
I'll miss you guys.
We'll think about the law on your behalf. I swear, Haley.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Jeffem, Slay the Spire 2. Obviously, the biggest game on the planet. It's going to be MinnMax's game of the year. 20 years from now, we'll still be talking about Slay the Spire 2. Next week, we're going to have the huge conversation about Slay the Spire 2 with the diehards, the hardcore crew. But I just want to get like temperature check on Slay the Spire 2. Is it the second coming of Christ? Is it in the classic trajectory of indie games are hard to make sequels for? Where is the arrow personally tilting right now for you for Slay the Spire 2?
It's very good. I've been playing almost nothing other than that. It will feel very familiar when you start it.
Yeah.
And that, it's not revolutionary in terms of we're going to completely shake up everything that we're doing with it. Most of the main characters that you played as in the first game are back. You start with the Ironclad. He starts with mostly the same deck as you begin. And the format, hasn't changed a ton, but it's just every game that I have played so far of it, every run that I've done, I have just been super impressed and happy with how my little engine has built out. And I'm not a big enough, expert to tell like all which cards are new and which ones. I've definitely recognized recurring cards, but it feels like there's just a ton of new content there and new content and some, smaller but really smart changes, as well as a couple new characters that do introduce new mechanisms specifically for them, has just made everything very, very good, and everybody's happy with it as far as I can tell. And that is incredibly tough for a game that was so beloved for their first one. So, and I haven't even touched the multiplayer, which everybody, that seems like the big thing that everybody is like, oh, this is revolutionary and super exciting and super good as well. So
I know. I feel like it's probably going to be a New Show Plus situation where we have like co-op Slay the Spire 2 just to try and
please
see
vote for it when we do it.
Works. But unfortunately, it is gameplay, and so I don't think anyone's going to vote for it for New Show Plus.
Yeah.
It's tough to compete.
It'll be like Ben Hansen clips his toenails or something. We'll win over it.
Hang on. Let me write this down real quick. Big toenail clipping. Got it. Okay, so next week again, we're going to have a huge Slay the Spire 2 discussion. Like that was an appetizer. That was like a whiff of the appetizer based on the conversation we're going to have about the game.
Yeah, someone opened the kitchen door and a little wafted out.
Yeah,
Just a bread basket.
Yeah.
Don't fill up on the bread basket.
It's like the LaCroix of a video game preview. Like you just kind of catch a whiff of it, but not the real flavor.
Sarah, be honest. Like if you're at a dinner, and I'm not saying this is exactly what I do every time, but if you're at dinner and like they bring out free bread or free chips and stuff, and somebody, and again, it's not me, but somebody at the table just like goes to frickin' town on that. Like I will take a majority of the bread. Again, not me, but in theory. Or like I will just keep saying, bring out more chips, bring out more chips for free. Is that, what is the word? Is that like ironically tasteless? Is that idiotic?
Well,
the
question is like, does everyone else get bread? Did everyone else, before you can take a second bread,
yes, everybody
else should have options to have gotten their bread.
I will take a measurement. In general, this person would take measurements to see like how aggressive everybody else is. But if it starts to slow down from other people, then I will completely fill my mouth up until like my stomach, up my esophagus, until I can actually see bread lodged in the back of my throat. That's how full I'll get on bread before my food comes. That's that crazy. Stupid?
Well, then, I mean, I guess like you also finish your meal, right?
Of course, yeah.
So
and then
fine.
I just want to roll around in pain from being too full. Is this the sign that I'm not an advanced species?
No, I feel like that is an incredible strength of yours to eat all the bread.
Thank you.
And then continue to eat the rest of your meal.
Thank you so much. Great. Hey, which reminds me, Big Walk. Kelsey Lewin, you went to Portland. You drove to Portland?
I drove to Portland.
That is
It's not that far.
Cool. I love that. And so you got to actually play this game at Panic, which is the publisher, which if you're really glued in on all things MinnMax, you saw Kelsey and I go to a couple years ago for the first MinnMax Spotlight, focusing on the playdate and all that fun stuff. Was it weird to go back to Panic's headquarters?
No, it was kind of like fun and familiar. Like I walk in and I'm like, hey, what gross snack food do you guys have now? The answer, by the way, was soup flavored lozenges.
No.
Ew.
Yeah, it had like real herbs inside. It was not.
What kind of soup? Like chicken noodle?
I can't remember the flavors off the top of my head. I do think there was a chicken noodle flavor.
Okay. Was it good? Was it like the whole thing of like gathering all the press around that actually came just to try this?
Yeah, I arrived last because I was running around trying to find a micro SD card last minute.
Oh, no.
But it's okay. I mean, I was like 2 minutes late, so no one was upset, but they had already partaken in the soup lozenges before me. So yeesh. I missed the gathering of the gross snack. So anyways, Big Walk is super, super cool. If you don't remember the pitch, it was revealed like a couple years ago, right? Like 2023 or something like that. So it's interesting because it's got sort of all the trappings of what people are now calling friend slop, but it kind of predates all of the friend slop games, at least in announcement. So you play as a little bird-like, ant-like creature. Everyone kind of has their own. There's no canonical like what they are, by the way. We did ask. And you are just hanging out with your friends as proximity chat. You're taking a big walk through like a really beautiful landscape that I believe is like a real national park in Australia, which is where the House developers are from.
Whoa. It's like topographically scanned in level?
Yeah, but like smushed down. But
Weird.
Yes.
That's super cool.
Yeah. And you know, it's one of those games where it's like, this was clearly a, like, we want to hang out with people, but it's COVID and we can't. And so that's kind of where the like genesis of it came from. But you're walking around with people and you're solving puzzles. As far as I could tell, not a single puzzle can be solved alone. So you really do have to like actually walk and talk with people. And it's just a big, goofy, fun sandbox. You do a lot of your communicating. Obviously, you use the proximity chat, but you can also move your limbs in basically any direction, which you end up using a lot for communication. There's some items you can find along the way, some of which are related to puzzles and some of which are just kind of like fun, silly things. And, you know, like, just it's the kind of goofy, like, things that will naturally come up because of the environment they have set up. You know, someone will inevitably accidentally throw a vital item off a cliff and then you have to figure out a way to go get the item back. And puzzles sometimes can only be solved from like far away. So you have to use hand signals and look like a crazy person while you're, you know, trying to communicate over long distances. And it just works really well. We did a 4-player session. It took us about an hour and it felt like 15 minutes. Like it was that level of just keep moving, keep doing fun things, make silly jokes as you walk around. And it's scaled for different numbers of people. So they were explaining that like the puzzles, you know, there was one puzzle where you had to like all get on a stack to hit a button. They're like, well, that'll be lower if there's only 2 of you, and it'll be higher, you know, if there's 3 or 4 or whatever. So they're all scaled. You can have up to 12 people in there, but no puzzle takes more than 4 people. So you can split up and kind of divide and conquer things.
That's so
That would be so cool to get 12 people together to like roam around that game.
And just like hearing 12 people like yell in the woods from like,
Chattering in
different
the distance.
proximities and stuff. Like that sounds awesome.
Oh, and I forgot one of the best parts. They ran the whole thing on Mac Minis. So like
What?
super commitment to making sure this game can run on absolutely anything. I encountered nothing, no frame stutters or anything. Like it just ran perfectly on a Mac Mini, which I was really impressed by. So I think they're really trying to go for like, hey, even if your friends don't really play games and all they have is a Mac or whatever, you'll be able to do crossplay and play with people.
It feels like a very panic move is to lean into Mac Minis because you're starting to like
Yes.
the Mac development scene. Like that's really pushing to show it off. So is it going to be in a post-peak world, which I know it's convoluted and weird to compare it, but I think it is maybe the cleanest comparison here. Like, is it going to be a set environment and you're just slowly exploring and charting out the map and understanding the kind of the open world and where the puzzles are? Like, is there any randomization? Is it like infinitely
No, I
playable?
don't. There's no randomization. It really does feel like the way they were explaining it was very much like this is going to take you 10 to maybe 15 hours and it's going to be a fun experience and then you're kind of done. Like they're not going to, at least so far, no plans for new maps or anything like that. No sort of like peak style. Now there's a slightly different thing this week to work on. And so, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to that. I love that it's just a very highly curated, worked on to death experience that is just going to be good and balanced the whole way through.
Yeah.
And then you can just put it down and be done with it. Obviously, just because it's a cool environment, like they're like, yeah, it's pretty replayable, of course. Like it's not like once you've solved a puzzle, now it takes 2 seconds to do. Like there's still things you have to go do and things you have to find and everything. But yeah, so it's a singular experience and they just want you to, honestly, it's a lot like Untitled Goose Game, which is House's other game, where it's like, this is just a very good 10+ hour experience. And yes, you can totally go back and honk and flap your wings because that's fun. But you're not going to like encounter new puzzles. It's just the same game again.
Right.
And so it feels the same to me. You can still do all the goofy things and have a good time just because playing as these weird little bird ant things is very fun and silly. And the animations are great, but it's a singular experience.
Like what type of range of the puzzles are there? Are they going to be challenging? Like some in the trailers, it seemed like they're kind of like more just silly focused, almost on like kind of just be silly with your friends. One person has to role play this scenario over here to get through this area type of thing.
Yeah, we didn't encounter anything that I would consider super challenging, but when talking to them afterwards, because we were essentially just playing through the first hour of the game.
Yeah.
And so they were like, as you get further, they get a lot more difficult. Towards the end, there will be some pretty tricky ones. But nothing that I encountered felt particularly, there were some things where we had to like sit there and figure it out for a little bit, but nothing that we were just like totally stumped on.
Yeah. Okay. So what was like the biggest laugh generator? This thing gets so much personality. What type of stuff are you doing?
I mean, I think it's the physics and just the like, it's a really good little environment, between the physics and the animation for just like things being goofy, like when we started doing, like conga line moves as we're walking and then started singing and everything. Like honestly, a lot of it comes down to you and your friends will be silly and have fun because we've just made a very good environment with silly creatures and silly movements and silly animations to go with it. I don't know that like, it's not like the game is, coming out like trotting out a comedic character that's like now he's gonna say some jokes and that's gonna be funny. It's more just like when you fail to do a puzzle, maybe you'll fall on your butt and it's a funny animation, or you accidentally kick a necessary item completely off a cliff and then everybody's like what's
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, I was laughing the whole time playing it, but I don't know that I could say there was a singular moment that was this was the laugh generating moment,
Right. Sarah, you love Peak, you love these games. Like, do you think people are going to jump onto this and kind of cherish the idea that it's kind of like a finishable experience?
From what it sounds like it's going to be very like friend group dependent.
Yeah.
Like if you have friends that when you hit a game like Peak and they're like all the way across the map and they grab every item and leave, like you probably won't want to play Big Walk with them. It's like you're going to need like a friend group who like actively wants to engage and like work together and do these puzzles. but it sounds like a different experience. I don't think Peak has like ate its lunch per se or like beat it to the punch, because I think they're both very different games, and the only thing they have in common is that you're walking and you have proximity chat. But everything else seems completely different to me. So it'll be interesting to see how people pick it up, how many people pick it up. I don't want people to compare the two.
Yeah.
Too much. Like, I feel like that hurts Big Walk, and like Big Walk doesn't deserve that. You know, like Peak is a completely different game. And I think Big Walk is like a well thought out experience, whereas Peak is a sandbox in which you make your own experience kind of thing. You know, like they're propelled by different things. But yeah, I hope they have a very successful launch, and I will definitely be checking it out.
I mean, the whole time I was playing it, I was like, this would be a really fun one to play with like the Pew Pew Bang girls. I think we would have a really good time with that. And I think that if you have even one friend that you like to play games with, and that is just, you know, can talk and walk and have a good time with you, I think you'll have a good time with this.
Yeah. Well, okay. In their pitch, they're really talking about that they're building something physical in the Panic headquarters. That Cable over there had kind of tackled the idea of like this physical installation. So like, you're not just like playing the game. Like, what do they actually have going on over there physically?
Yes, it's very, very Cable. When I walked in, they had this room that had, of course, some of the props from the game. So there's like these orbs that glow, and you can, you know, turn them on and turn them off, and they're different colors. And you can like hold them above your head or kick them or whatever. So they had that. They had some of the like little puzzle pieces from some of the other puzzles in the game. And I don't want to like spoil the whole installation, because he was very, very proud of it. And I do think that, and they're actually running right now. They're running like, if you live in Portland or will be in Portland, you can go into the office and sign up for times and play this game before it comes out.
That's so
they're
cool.
doing like a very old school kind of preview thing that's open to the public, which is awesome. But yes, they did have like big projectors on the wall, like moving walls to explain the game to you and everything. And then they sat us each in these little pods that lit up as the, you know, little bird guy went and like pointed at one, and it would light up that pod. And then he would walk across the wall and pointed another pod, and it would light it up. And we sat at them and played on Mac Minis and had a great time.
That's so cool. Okay, and they still just say 2026 for when Big Walk's coming out?
Yeah, still no release date,
That's
no pricing info
weird
either.
To do like a big fly out the journalists and not have a date.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're like waiting on something else, or that's interesting.
They're waiting to see if GTA 6...
The thing that surprised me too was no pricing model yet, and no, like, we don't know if it's going to be like only one friend needs a copy and then someone else can play. We don't know any of that stuff yet.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
So maybe it's going to be later 2026 based on these things still being up in the air.
That's interesting, but like they're going to lose momentum between now, since all the previews came out, and then, but okay.
Oh, sassy
Okay.
marketing
No, it's not even
Sarah.
It's not even sass. I wish them the best.
Yeah, taking a big walk off the frickin' plank over here.
I'm just saying, like, where's the date?
Yeah, I mean, the game seems like very done, so I don't know. Maybe it'll all kind of come out faster than we think it will, and they were just waiting to see feedback.
I wonder if it's going to be one of those like, and it's out now, like situations around like SGM or something. It's giving like out now, you can play now, and they probably can't give a date because of that. I think. Yeah, that's my prediction.
I
like it. Yeah, I think that totally works. Hey, Jeffem, do you know what time it is, buddy? And don't say time for Factor, whatever you do.
Okay.
Okay, so don't say that. Just promise that you're not going to say that.
I promise that I will not say Factor.
Okay,
meals.
well, I am asking you if you know what time it is.
No, I don't.
Okay, well, Jeff, that reminds me, we actually have an ad for Factor Meals. We should probably...
You're so confusing, Hanson.
Factor Meals, fresh, wonderful meals delivered right to your door, ready in no time at all. We're talking 100 rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh and delicious throughout your winter. We got options that include high protein, calorie smart Mediterranean diet, ready to eat salads, plus the new Muscle Pro collection supports strength and recovery. Perfect if you're getting back into a workout routine, which I know you are, Jeffem. These meals are ready to go. Every time we have Factor Meals in my fridge, I feel like I can rest easy. 2 minutes in the microwave. They taste delicious. As edible as they are good. Jeff, these Factor meals, I tell you what. And so you can head to factormeals.com/MinnMax50 off and use the code MinnMax50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for 1 year. The offer is only valid for new Factor customers with the code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. Don't stress out. Don't spend half your day in the kitchen. Spend 2 minutes in the kitchen, then sprint out of there with a steaming hot, delicious meal thanks to Factor. For supporting the show, check out the description for more details. Jeff, do you know what time it really is, buddy?
Not again.
It's time for the next generation of consoles. Have you noticed the big clock? There's like the doomsday clock that, of course, we all have as like our desktop wallpaper or whatever. But now the clock has struck time for new consoles, thanks to Xbox ripping off the Band-Aid. I mean, how would you consider what Xbox is communicating now about the next console?
Panic and floundering because everybody thinks they're going to shut down Xbox after Spencer left. So
I mean, it's been 6 years since the launch of the last console. Like, it's time. I don't think it's floundering for them to be like, something's on the horizon, please. That being said, they are floundering.
Is it time though? I get the 6 hour or the 6 year argument.
Yeah.
But like, Sony's not jumping at the bit. It feels like a very weird and dangerous time to be like, hey guys, go spend $1,000 on our next console. We don't have the RAM to even like produce it yet, but get excited, get hyped.
Yeah, I disagree with the 6 year thing because I mean, I get that was the cadence back in like the 90s when technology was evolving really rapidly.
Yeah.
But it's not anymore. And the most that any of these companies can offer is like, you know, we're already getting just very incremental increases at this point. And so, no, I feel like it makes sense that we shift to way longer between console releases. And yes, especially because no one can afford any parts for anything right now.
Yeah. And so here's what we know. So Project Helix is the code name.
I don't even like that name.
Well, it's not the official name of the console yet. I mean, did you like Project Scorpio or Project Durango? Like, it doesn't got to sound cool, right? If it sounds too cool, they'll be committed to it. But the weird thing about Project Helix is like, you know, I saw somebody post that they were technically Kotaku, Jason Schreier over there at Kotaku back in 2016 was reporting about internally Microsoft talking about Project Helix, which was just like, hey, eventually we're going to intertwine Xbox and PC gaming tighter than we have in the past. And they've been slowly...
So it's like the DNA Helix thing?
Yes, of PC and Xbox together
I don't like it.
forever.
Separate them.
Separate the
Don't
DNA
come over here.
Splice the DNA.
But so here's what...
It's like church and state. Away, consoles!
But so they have, with GDC happening this week, they're like, hey, we should actually talk about what this is because we're going to be talking to developers about our plans. We have like a whole presentation talking about this thing. So let's just get it out there. And so the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, which also we haven't talked about in the show, we could talk about Asha Sharma. She just posted on Twitter a little teaser video being like, hey, Project Helix, we'll be talking about it more soon. And then at GDC, they gave a whole presentation that was focused on just getting developers ready for what's coming. And the idea is like, hey, we're going to start in 2027 sending out a quote-unquote alpha version of this console for you all to start experimenting with. So it's not that this console is coming out in 2026 or 2027 even. Well, more than likely. We'll see when it actually hits the ground. But they just want to start priming the pump for developers to understand what this is. And it's something that we've talked about a lot on this podcast, that we are finally to this level. And the big pitch is, hey, everybody, this is basically just a PC. The Helix is so tightly wound. It's like beautifully braided hair, Sarah. You can't separate these two if you tried. And to the point of they're just saying that don't think of it as making an Xbox SKU of a game anymore. You're just making the PC version of your game, which will run on PC and then also will work on this thing because it is just a PC. And that means the most exciting thing in my mind, which is weird to say about a console, is the PC games. Like Epic got out there and they said like, hey, we're talking to Microsoft. The Epic Store will be on this system. And because of everything they've set up in the past, like Steam will just be on this system then. on the next console. It's going to be under your TV, and it's all just going to be one and the same place. And I totally agree that Xbox is in a weird, tough spot. They need a Hail Mary. And the question that I still am losing sleep about is like, is that idea that you can technically play your Steam games on your Xbox, is that enough of a Hail Mary? Can it actually land?
Well, it would have to be cheaper than a PC.
Correct.
Like at this point, at these price points, at this point, you're just saying, I could just build a PC and then upgrade it. And it's like, will you be able to upgrade it? Or is it going to go obsolete after like 6 years again? Because like a PC, you can continuously upgrade it. So it's kind of just like a rolling target.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who don't want to upgrade PCs, and that's the reason they're in the console ecosystem. They're like, I don't want to have to deal with this. That sounds complicated.
Yeah, but it is presumably going to be expensive this year. So there's a question of like, yeah, it'll be cheaper than a PC, but at the same time, it's like if you're spending $900, in theory, they haven't announced pricing yet. But I mean, realistically, it's probably what we're looking at here. It's like, is that going to be that much better than just building your own PC at that point?
And so it's basically the concept of a Steam box, right?
Yeah, right.
But it's coming from Microsoft, which just feels like a bigger gamble than the Steam box is. To me at least.
And they'll be coming out after the Steam box is already launching. If Valve is still like 2026 is the plan.
If they can still do it, yeah. Which they're waffling a little because they also even Valve can't get the chips that they need. Everybody was losing their minds when they announced it, and my initial reaction was, okay, so it's just going to be a PC. I'm glad that seems like what they're kind of validating with that talk, but that still feel like I think that's a better pitch than come buy another new bespoke Xbox that we don't even know. Like they still feel so much like they have one foot in this. I know the new CEO is trying very hard to be like, no, we really care about Xbox. We really care about gaming still. Believe us.
It's the center of our strategy. Right.
Yeah, but it feels like a big ask to tell people, hey, if you like the idea of a console that is a PC console thing, buy one from us instead of Valve, who, runs the biggest store for PCs, has a proven track record with the Steam Deck of like making a console type thing that's a bespoke way to play PC games.
Yeah.
And I still feel like tomorrow Microsoft could come out and be like, yeah, we don't actually care about Xbox anymore. Like we'll have the console and we'll license these, like we might continue licensing out Call of Duty or whatever, but I feel like they could just sell a ton of stuff off at any point, or just close down the studios that they have like they have been. And it feels like if Sony came out and was like, hey, the new PlayStation is also a PC, that I still wouldn't be super excited about that, but I would be more interested in that version from a company where it's like, well, you have a very strong first party, so that would compete in my mind with a Steam Deck kind of situation where it's like, man, if I could get all the first party stuff from Sony and a PC built together, like that might sway me from a Steam box or whatever they're calling it. Is it a Steam box? Is that what they're calling it?
But I call it the Gabe Cube.
It's the way to go.
Gabe Cube is so much better. Yeah. Yes, please.
Well,
that's why you're a genius for PR.
No, I stole it. I stole it from the internet. Shamelessly,
but trying to run away with it in a big way. But no, it is.
Yeah, but
that's what they talked about. I mean, on that PlayStation front, we talked a little bit on the podcast last week about it. But it is like, the report from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg that Sony's like, maybe it's not so much with the first or the first party games, single player games at least, releasing on PC anymore. And part of it is like that weird thing of like, we're going to be able to play God of War and Spider-Man and everything that's technically released on Steam on the next Xbox hooked up to our TV. Just for like the weird blending of where we're going to be next generation. And so for Sony to be like, pump the brakes on that.
The landscape is just so weird right now. Like, it's bizarre. I feel like the only person who really knows what they're doing is Nintendo, because they always just do what they normally do and they just release their own games for their own console. And you're like, dang.
Genius.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's kind of cool that they're blending things, but it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in me as a consumer when you're asking me to spend what's probably going to be close to $1,000 on whatever the next system is. Yeah. And I still feel like first party Xbox, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm excited to play Fable at this point, but I don't know. Like, if I'm going to make a big hardware purchase, I want to feel good and confident in the company that's asking me to make that. I feel that way with Nintendo. I feel that way mostly with Valve, you know, even though hardware is still kind of new for them or whatever, but I don't feel that way for Xbox.
You say that
I don't know that Xbox feels that way for Xbox at this point.
It does feel like just the company is struggling so much, but then when they have discussions probably internally of like, well, what do you just get out of gaming entirely? It's like, well, we can't do that because gaming's huge. Like, we are such a huge company. We obviously should be in this huge market, even if we're just going to continue to slowly sink in that market. But like, no one can say gaming is not the future. It obviously is. It's just not for you guys.
We can't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right,
we don't know. We fundamentally are struggling to figure out what our place in it is, at least.
I mean, and their place is they're a third-party publisher at this point. You know, it's like everything but just
that's
saying
kind of the trajectory Sega took.
Right.
Yeah.
Sega was the big company, and then, you know, that's all they are now, is just a publisher.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It feels exactly like that, and it feels like Microsoft just doesn't want to drop the part where they say, okay, we don't make consoles then. Like, let's just publish games other places. And they're like, no, but we really want to do it. It's just, and Xbox should be everywhere, but we don't really even know what Xbox is at this point from like a brand perspective or games perspective.
What do you mean? They had that commercial that was like, this is an Xbox.
This is an Xbox.
This is an Xbox.
Well,
It does feel like, Microsoft is losing on a lot of fronts right now. And I feel like general trust has been eroded from them big time. And I definitely feel like whoever is in charge at Xbox, they don't know, or they maybe cannot react fast enough to understand what is going on in the current market.
Yeah, and I feel like
they're like, they have to put out that big console for shareholders, you know? They have to announce that something's coming or the money's gonna walk. And sometimes I feel like this Project Helix, they're like, don't worry, it's coming, and it's gonna be like, a PC!
well, even like, you're totally right. And like, you know, it was a couple years ago, right? When Sarah Bond got out there just to kind of sow the seeds for the future and say like, by the way, the next console, it's going to be the most powerful thing you've ever seen. It's going to be 100 times more powerful than the current
They're
one.
literally just running it back every single time.
Yep.
And it doesn't
This
work.
is
And
what
they're
I'm
like, what do
so
you mean
sick
it didn't
of.
work?
Yeah.
They just, I'm so sick of hearing Microsoft just say time after time, like, we're really committed. This one's going to be big. This one's
for the
amazing. We love
gamers.
gamers. For gamers, by gamers. Like, they just say the same thing over and over again, and it never gets better.
Yep.
And they announced it's going to be like the biggest generational leap when they were
Yes,
talking
that's what it
about
was. Yes.
No, it's
Yes, and
obviously
it's like,
not. That's impossible now.
Insane world. Yeah.
Well, you're forgetting about the larger picture here, obviously, which is through the power of AI, this next console is going to blow your freaking mind. Although it's very telling that in the GDC talk, at least, they know that like, okay, we got to avoid getting roasted. We don't want it to be a lightning rod for AI hate. And so the way they were talking about it there is they say, this is, for Project Helix, this is really designed. This is Jason Ronald, by the way, the vice president of Next Generation at Xbox, which is an odd title, but sure. When the generation comes out, then does it get a title change? Anyways, so Ronald here, Mr. Ronald.
He gets fired like everybody else.
All right. He says, this is really designed for that next generation of neural rendering techniques, whether that's neural materials. What do you mean, what does that mean? Neural rendering materials, whether that's generated images, or even if you think about things like the latest ML, you know, machine learning, based upscaling techniques or super resolution techniques. So it seems like
what are they upscaling? They don't have any fucking games to upscale.
They're the biggest game publisher in the world at this point. What do you mean they don't got fucking games? But it is just that weird thing of, are they just saying ML now when they need to not piss people off, but they want to talk about the power of AI?
You can't keep inventing words. I mean, I know that's not inventing a word, but you can't just keep coming up with new terms for AI and thinking we're all too stupid to catch on. Eventually, we'll just hate that and make fun of that word too.
Well, this is, again, the bigger picture. Oh, by the way, before we move on from what they've revealed, by the way, for the, Project Helix, they say, yeah, it'll play your Xbox and PC games, powered by custom AMD SoC, BFD, I freaking say. And they say AMD FSR next, and then this is the most important part, Jeff. It has deep texture compression. So just in case you're wondering if it's going to be a gaming
Wow.
thing, deep texture compression. Hear
Hey,
it,
Ben.
world. Yes.
How do you feel about the fact that Asha Sharma went to University of Minnesota at the same time as you?
Are you
guys are
serious?
classmates.
Oh, I had no idea.
serious.
Like, okay, I need to look at this up. Okay, so this
They
is
were on different sides of the campus, that's for sure.
They probably were, but
Ben was in that cinema side that's underfunded.
That's right. Yeah, she feels like a Carlson type of student, if
Yeah.
I may
she
generalize.
was indeed a
Definitely
Carl
Carlson,
School
yeah.
of
It's
Management.
giving
Was
Nice
she
Panda
really?
Express.
What
my
other, what
God.
other department would it have been?
Oh my
Hey,
God.
hey, listen. I used to crawl through like the World International Studies building through the tunnels up into Carlson and eat at their Panda Express because it was better.
Classy.
Oh yeah,
better.
business
Yeah.
buildings always have the good food.
I am fat. How do you know this, Kelsey, but not me? This feels like exactly.
Wikipedia.org
Wow. Okay, so yeah,
and some math, I guess.
interesting. I probably saw her on campus. What? She's from Wisconsin? You know what? I know she's like half AI, but Asha Sharma, my kind of gal. She's really cool. No, so
Started
this
from the bottom. Now she's at Xbox.
So this is the big thing that, again, we didn't talk about the last couple weeks, but I'm glad that Project Helix came around to give us another chance to talk about Phil Spencer retiring at Xbox, stepping down from the head of Microsoft, which I just saw him at DICE. I was literally standing in line right next to him for Starbucks and waiting for a Starbucks order together. And I was like, should I say something to him? I don't know what I would say. Forza Horizon is going to be cool. I guess I don't know what the chit chat is for Phil Spencer in a Starbucks line. But now it's like, that might be my last chance to talk to Phil Spencer. I don't think I've ever, well, I talked to him a little bit, like, I guess before the launch of the Xbox One, we went out for like the early reveal at Game Informer. So it was like him and Don Matrick and stuff, I guess. And we went out and got Mexican food. Very lovely, important times in the game industry. But anyway, so he's stepping down. And Sarah Bond, who was also the head of Xbox, and they were setting up to be kind of the next leader, it certainly seemed like they decided that, she went on to go see what else is going on. She decided to move on. It just feels like a real...
He was passed over for the promotion.
It's easy to like write your own fan fiction, but it seems like unlikely that it wasn't a situation if she was passed by for the promotion and they went for Asha Sharma instead, and Sarah said, see ya. And even like the goodbye letter from... Satya Nadella, the head of Microsoft, like he didn't call out Sarah Bond specifically. It just feels like weird, gigantic corporation politics happening over there. But Matt Booty, head of the studios, he got a promotion. And so Asha Sharma jumps in, proud U of M grad, as of course we all know. And she was very embedded in the AI initiative over at Microsoft. And so in her announcement post, she had... the very carefully worded stuff of like, we're not going for AI slop. We're not, look, I'm hip. I know that you kids don't like AI slop. That's not what we're doing here. And she said, Xbox is important for the future of gaming at Microsoft, all the key phrases, but still we'll see what happens here. It's not a reason to be optimistic.
All the key phrases is right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And part of it, I think it started with Phil Spencer, but Microsoft falls in like that political sphere for me now, where it's like, I don't care what you say.
Yes.
Like nothing that you say matters.
Yes.
I'm not going to trust any. You're just going to say whatever you think is going to get you out of the current hole and into the next hole. And like, that's where you always end up. And nobody should trust what they're saying at this point.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
No, I feel like whenever
Is that cynical?
No, you're
whenever
right.
they get up on their stage and they're like, hello, fellow gamers, I go, boo, boo, tomato, tomato, boo.
And it's tough too, thinking about like,
Also, we're raising the
got-
price of Game Pass and we're calling it
They-
boo.
Just throw that on every time. They got the FSRML now in the ID Xbox
okay,
ABCs.
I'm interested.
So,
Hey, keep
you know.
talking. Now you're talking my language, man. So that's the thing. Is like, Asha Sharma, trying to figure out who this person is, what her priorities going to be. Obviously, big push with the AI. It seemed like I devoured all the interviews she's ever given on YouTube to try to get a sense of like, who is this person? It seemed like she was pretty tight with Satya Nadella. It seemed like she was kind of, all right, she seems to understand AI well. She's been talking about it for years now at Microsoft, pushing it hard. Satya Nadella is all about it, leaning as hard as he can possibly lean into that thing for Microsoft overall as a corporation. So let's get somebody who knows the ins and outs of the AI world into the gaming thing, and to not expect that to be a huge AI push within the gaming divisions, I think is absurd. Stranger things have happened, I suppose, but I think we clearly know what direction all of this is going. And, you know, she's like, in her interviews too, like she's, maybe I'm completely unhip and out of the loop on all this stuff, but it's just like horrifying to hear her be like, I don't even remember what it was like writing without AI. Can you imagine sitting down and just like writing something? It's like, this is the
She
person.
said that?
Yes. In interviews, they were talking about that. Yeah. And
that is interesting, and ties into, you know, like before the GDC talks and before they actually said more, Seamus Blackley had come out and had said that like Phil Spencer leaving and, you know, them putting the head of AI in charge of it clearly shows that they are sunsetting Xbox, and they're getting out of, you know, like she's there to just like oversee them shutting it all down.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that feels like it's not the case at this point. It feels like they've at least given a little more information, a little more hope to people. But one of the things that he pointed out was that like they are all in on AI, and Xbox is the only part of their business where they have like bespoke creatives, like making actual human derived content, and that is just completely at odds with what they're doing with the rest of the entire company. And and it is, you're right, Hanson, that it could be the case where it's like, well, it doesn't completely fit in, but stranger things have happened or whatever. But that also, in terms of like the core issue of confidence, that's another thing where it's like, man, if it goes a little wrong, and if, you know, like if the next Elder Scrolls doesn't sell well or something, you know, sells under expectations or whatever, that just makes it that much more easy to be like, nope, we're right. AI is the future.
Yeah.
All this crap of employing hundreds of people to make a game just isn't working. You know, like we have reinforced our own biases at this point of what we should be doing with the company, and we'll just make it that easier to drop if that's not already the plan behind the scenes in the first place.
Yeah, it is so weird. You know, it's just so weird to see like her jumping in and then just like leaning in on Twitter of like, all right, let me get down to gaming. Let me understand what you gamers need. What games should I play? Borderlands 2? Here I go. And I think there's definitely a level of misogyny, of course, on the internet of people being like, she doesn't even play games. Like, yeah, how many of these executives at these gaming companies do you think play games or understand the gaming world? That being said, it is just so weird to see her messaging so much of like, well, you know, I'm not really used to the world of gaming, but I'm eager to get up to speed on the studios and what we have going on here. And it's like, it just seems so weird to put somebody fully in charge. Just like, let me get up to speed on all things Xbox. Like, surely there was somebody else. Like, I understand a change was needed based on the direction of Microsoft. It is, as we've talked about in the show before, of like, it is such a tricky thing though, because it's like Xbox over the last 10 years, just big downward spiral. But at the same time, like, I think Phil Spencer's a really good communicator, and I'm sure he has pressures from every direction that we could not imagine, but like, he understands games very well. He was there for so long. Like, as much as I felt good about Phil Spencer in theory, clearly the rubber was not hitting the road for what was happening at Xbox. And so now to try that again with somebody who understands the industry less, it's terrifying. It's such a weird spot for them.
My complete lack of confidence in Microsoft was already so low, and like it's hard to go down from where they are. I some nights I sit up and just think about like, what is happening with Halo? Like when I scream that Xbox doesn't have any games anymore, like Halo is so ingrained in my mind of like, this is what your entire brand was built on. I think the last thing they said about Halo was, hey, AI is going to really help us make the next great Halo game. And it's just,
there was some confusing message there. And Matt Booty did come out and say, like, we do not have any decrees of using AI for our studios at this point. It was kind of worded in a way where it's like, okay, we'll see where this is going to go. But Matt Booty at least has said out there, like, hey, we're not looking to replace everybody at our studios with AI, trying to push back on
does
that.
Does 343 Industries still exist?
It's Halo Studios now. And so, I mean, what Halo, I mean, specifically, they're making a multiplayer game in some way. That'll be their big multiplayer push. And then the single player push is
great. Halo has multiplayer.
Okay. They're going to make something. News. But the idea is that they're going to have this year, it's the Halo campaign on PS5.
Yeah, that sucks. That fucking sucks. That's what they're like.
Yeah.
It's the first Halo campaign again?
Yeah.
Okay, well, they figured it out. Okay, I take back all my criticisms. They do know what they're doing. Remaking Halo 1 campaign again. It just sucks, Hanson.
It does.
Like honestly, I was a little Nintendo boy, straight up to N64, and once I got upset when I saw what they were doing with the GameCube, I was like, okay, time to buy one of the other consoles, because I at that point I was a one console type of little boy gamer, and I was like, obviously PlayStation's doing a lot over here. This Xbox sounds cool. Like I like what it's showing me, and like the first couple games, and I can play Morrowind on it, and this all sounds cool. Yep. Like I have had Xboxes since the very beginning, and it does make me sad that like they have botched it up so bad at this point that I have no confidence in whatsoever for what they're doing, and really feel like it's all bullshit at this point.
Yeah. And I think getting out of the gate before Sony for this stuff, like, it's going to be interesting of like, is that going to be any sort of angle of like, is there any enthusiasm for another generation? And it seems like at this point, no.
People aren't ready for that anyways. Like PlayStation, even if Sony had come out and said we have a new console in the works, we wouldn't have been happy about it. PlayStation 5s are still a crazy amount of money. Like everything is really expensive right now, and you can't. I mean, again, the next generation can't possibly do anything super special at this point unless we start like, I don't know, unless you can live in a video game or something. Like there's no like graphical fidelity to go up from here that moves the needle really.
Yeah. Have you thought about ML though?
All the time.
With FSR?
It's weird too. I was thinking about like the history of Xbox and stuff. Like, you remember there was that leak that was in the court case to buy Activision Blizzard, where there was the round Xbox called Xbox Brooklyn. That was the project code name that they described as, quote, adorably all digital. That was supposed to launch in 2024. And that didn't happen. And they said, like, as a response to those leaks, like, hey, our plans change all the time. Don't take any of this as gospel. But it is weird to see like that was a piece of hardware and a new controller and all that stuff that did not happen. And I'm curious how much of that kind of push was just delayed now for whatever their next big generation is going to be here with of course, the Helix.
That kind of had me thinking when they were talking about all this of like, I guess I assumed that the next console wouldn't even have an optical drive at like physical medium at all. And so the entire argument of like, well, it's going to play all your Xbox games. It's going to be backwards compatible with all your Xbox games. Still always just felt to me like, well, they just mean PC games, like Xbox games that came out on PC. They would emulate whatever else probably. Like, I just don't. It's already such muddy waters for what a new console would look like that, yeah, I wouldn't be super excited about. I'm not super excited for the next PlayStation at this point either. I don't know what you do to sell people on things. And then Nintendo lives in their own little world where, like, I would be excited about the next Nintendo thing. But
honestly, even Nintendo,
even the Switch, like the 2, people are like, people are like, not that what do we do with exciting. This? We all bought them, but
Yep. I'm totally with you. Yeah. I mean, this is the larger conversation too, but I don't know if you saw like Matthew Ball a couple years ago, he released like the state of the game industry thing. And last year it really caught on. It was like, hey, 125 pages basically saying people are watching TikTok. They don't want to play games as much anymore. And then he just released a new one. And it had the stat that outside of China, 70% of all game industry growth went to Roblox. Like it is just Roblox is the only thing gaining momentum here.
And Roblox is like don't stare into it too long or you'll see the evils that lurk within.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's wild.
Yeah. It does. It feel like those numbers are very depressing, but the past couple of years have just felt like, oh yeah, everybody's playing indie games because that's exciting.
Yes.
That's where all the innovation is happening. It's actually affordable. You feel good buying games from small developers, like, and they don't have to compete. And all the AAA games now feel like it's just free-to-play gacha stuff anyway, which people have seemed to come around more on in terms of not just like immediately dismissing and hating it. And I don't know where that leaves all the other AAA companies. When they all say AAA is dying, ergo we need to raise the price up to, $90 or whatever. Like, I feel like they're right about the first part, and they're just coming to the wrong conclusions for charge more for them isn't going to save it.
Yeah, it is really a double whammy with like Sony closing Bluepoint, which we'll talk more about in community questions, and then the changes at Microsoft. And it's just this feeling of just like, what are you idiots doing? These corporations have just grown so large and top heavy and disconnected from people. That being said, if you put the coolest, hippest gamer in charge of PlayStation or Microsoft, I don't think it's going to cause an explosion in business either. It's not like, we make that new Parappa game, stuff's turning around. It's just these things have just gotten so bloated that it's like, all right, they're just going to be a confusing, disconnected corporation at this point, and the more we can just focus on cool indie games and try to retain our sanity moving forward, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, if you put the coolest, hippest gamer in charge, it would just be years of watching them turn into a soulless corporate suit and just grieving for their loss as a human being. I
feel like years. I think it would take, I'd say tops 3 months.
I mean,
3 months, and they'll be saying like, AI's not that bad, you guys. Like, I think we should really like implement it in really interesting ways for the games.
Yeah,
guys, I don't have to write anymore. I can just use AI. This is so cool.
Yeah, Copilot actually just told me that I think AI is the future of gaming.
Oh God.
Jesus, I'm gonna be thinking about that quote, Hanson, now that you said it.
Well, there's also
like once a day at least of the idea that like, can you imagine writing an email without AI now is...
By the way, Gmail, like
I don't like the Gmail auto responses that it gives me because it always says yes. Even when I have to say no, it's like, yeah, I'll do that. And I'm like, no, we won't be doing that.
What are you talking about?
You don't run this company, I do.
It just feels like it's automated before you even reply. Like I've accidentally hit like the automatic AI response thing. And I'm like, what the crap is it? I need to delete this. What is this? I just feel disgusted by how it's just trying to get in there more and more. It's like, I don't want to have an automated email, please.
They are so desperate to try and justify all the billions of dollars that they're spending on this sham technology. And it's really gross and exactly what people don't want from the future of Xbox, but try and tell Xbox that.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like, how long will our industry take to recover from like the chip shortage, the AI, like where, like, yeah, I'm thinking like in the future, like, yeah, we'll have indie games, but I'm like, yeah, how do we recover from this as an industry?
It is weird to think of like the push for AI rising the prices of PC components and hardware. Therefore, all those are going to limit the industry even more. So like having AI F you from the top and the bottom, it's just such a weird spot for where we're at in this industry.
And we all hate it. Mm-hmm. It's so weird to see like just how crazy disconnected, I feel like companies used to at least try to create products that people wanted. And the last few years have just been like, it doesn't matter if you don't want this. Yeah. You must have this. You will. I don't care what you want anymore. We want AI. And so therefore you must have it no matter what. And it's just so weird. Why would anyone want to like spend money in a society that just tells you what you're supposed to like?
It feels like the tech sector has always had technologies that they have pushed as, like they hype it up. They know it's not what they're hyping, but they really just want to sell it to you, 3D TVs and everything else. And AI feels like the first time where they bought their own hype and they have just like all shammed each other into like investing all of their company's money into this. And now it's like, oh shit, now we have to actually convince you to use these things however we can. And it's like the AI replies in Google, like that nobody wants to be there. Those are just there so that they can say, oh, look at all the millions of people, the billions of times that people have used AI. Right. And it's like, yeah, not voluntarily, like they're just coming up with ways that they can make it run in the background so that they can say, yes, it's people are actually using the thing that we're spending all of this money on. And it's
right.
It really feels like they're all just in a vice now that they have created and that they fell for themselves when they said, oh my God, do you see how much money OpenAI is making? We have to get into AI, guys. It's the future.
Right. And
it's like you hyped yourselves at this point.
And it's whenever you're questioning, like, why is there that extra momentum? Why are these corporations pushing AI so hard? It's like, because they want to not pay human beings. Why do you think this has so much momentum? Why are they pushing so hard? Like, having loved ones talk about like, oh, my boss got the mandate that like, I need to show how I'm using AI to improve how I'm doing my job every quarter. It's like, yeah, they're doing that so they can prove that they don't need to pay you anymore and they can cut you out of the system. It's so nasty.
It's sick. They're not even hiding that aspect of it. Like they are. I think it was the CEO of Palantir, which I'm not even sure what that company is, but they had one quote from him. Yes, but his quote was like, "You're all going to have to learn. You're all going to have to start using your hands like peasants." And it wasn't like because AI is bad and it's going to take your jobs. This was a pro AI argument that he was making, and like gleefully reveling in that like we're all going to be digging in the dirt for tomorrow's dinner or something.
Wait, what's wrong with gardening?
No, it's nasty, Sarah.
Nothing against gardening.
You're a freak.
We all love gardening.
Me looking at my peasant hands.
When I think peasant hands, I think
they've made it so unattractive and so like just anti-humanity that at this point, any like actual useful uses for AI, I don't even want to hear it anymore. Like they've made it that unattractive that it has soiled the entire thing. Even if there were legitimate, useful whatever parts of this, it's like no one wants that anymore. They're so turned off by all of the pushing and all of the evil quotes, apparently just telling you that we're going to replace you, ha 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 ha, evil laugh. Like that's insane.
Here's devil's advocate. AI rules.
No, Ben, we don't need this.
No. Hear me out. I'm trying to.
No.
I'm
Let
trying
him do
to
it. I want to see him jump.
I want to wade into delicate territory.
Why? On a podcast? Why would you do that? This goes on the internet, Ben.
A perspective I want to hear, and I want to be really clear. I have never used AI outside of, I guess, the Google AI crap that automates. Hey, here, let's throw these results at you.
You can't help using.
Yeah. I'm not a fan anyway. I do want to hear the perspective of like entry-level artists at game studios. I do not trust any head of any company in gaming being like, AI is the future. It's actually handy. Here's how you can use it. I want to hear, like, is there a world where some entry-level artists are like, yeah, you know what? Like, this would actually save me time if I don't have to, like, come up with this wallpaper, like something that's not like some flooring texture. I'm not pouring my heart and soul into it. No big deal. If there's not an automated asset for it, is there some avenue where, and I feel like
but then we wouldn't have the junior artists because the junior artists would be AI.
Yeah, the problem is you're not going to hear from them because they've already been replaced at that point.
Right. And if anybody is like, oh, this actually could speed up development in some way, like I think they would just get annihilated so much for seemingly defending AI, because then they would just be outing the entire bottom of the industry at that point.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I do think about that in terms of like, one person indie game developer who wants to make their own game. Like, could this actually be helpful for them? But Kelsey's right that like everything is so poisoned around it, and we're all so tired of it being hyped for everything that nobody wants that. And honestly, it would probably be better like go into MS Paint and make your own bespoke graphics, and even if it looks like crap, like you're probably going to find your own cute aesthetic that like people are going to like anyway. And I feel like gamers just do not get enough credit when we have these big companies telling us like, no, we have to make this game and we have to charge you $90 because this is what you want. Like the breadth of games and experiences that people actually enjoy and that like really pop off with people when you look at it, and it's like, oh my God, what are you even playing it like? I'm like the biggest perpetrator of it, like all the ugly roguelikes that I bring and tell people, no, it's really good, check it out. Like I don't feel like I'm a special case. Like weird interesting, creative games pop off all the time because they find audiences because gamers just like playing a lot of different weird, exciting, creative things, and that the idea that we need AI to do any of this or like that's the future and that's the only way that games are going to survive is just a load of crap.
Yeah.
Well, and Ben, just to go back to your, is this useful to artists and stuff? Like when in the past, when people have had to do rote work that they don't want to do, you just buy an asset.
Yeah.
You get a texture, you pay for a texture pack and you use one of the like already, just ready to go. And like, that's fine. I don't see why you would need to like, if this wood texture exists and there's 90 different wood textures in this library to choose from, I don't understand why you would need to tell AI generate me yet another wood texture. Like what does that do?
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. There are so many free resources where it's like all the people that make them and distribute them want is for you to like add their name in the credits so that they get a little visibility. And like, why wouldn't you do that instead of going to AI to make something that probably isn't going to work and that you're probably going to have to edit anyway? And, now, it's just a rabbit hole.
Controversy noted. Again, I am no fan of AI. I want to make that very clear. Do you all care if AI is used in the coding of games? Do programmers get a pass on this? Because there's Googling a lot of stuff anyway, I guess, whatever.
I think it's sort of inevitable, but it's like, this is just, I have, software engineer partner, like you, in the past, they would go to GitHub and copy paste something that someone has already written about like, oh, I need to do this function or whatever, rather than making it from scratch. They might just go find a version of that in GitHub. I don't like it. It being AI generated instead of that. Cause I mean, the GitHub stuff still exists. Just go get it there. But I don't know. I don't feel smart enough to speak on.
Yeah, it feels like there's not the same level of stigma about the coding front with AI, which again,
there is weird. We all have weird hypocrisies. There's like the hierarchy of don't make a picture with it. ChatGPT, like you're already starting to lose people who are like, no, that's fine, and I use it every day to write my emails or whatever bullshit they're doing.
Right.
And then the coding, like poor coders somehow are on the bottom of like. Everybody's like, oh, it would be cool if I could use AI to make my own app and code it for me. And it seems like it's been, from my outside perspective, it seems like coders have been a little more open to the idea. But then I've seen a lot of videos from coders who are like, no, actually, like we're all being tricked too. Like it writes worse code than you think, and and you end up spending more time fixing the code that AI has made than actually just writing it for yourself in the first place. And
it does feel like there's just more broken stuff out there now, as because of vibe coding. And so I don't know, like so many people are like, I can make an app now. I don't actually know how to code, but I can tell Claude or whatever to tell me how to code, and then now I have an app, and then it doesn't work, but they don't know how to fix it because they don't know how to code.
Yeah, they didn't know what it did in the first place. And it seems like there are a lot of open source communities that are like, keep your AI, request, like the code that you're having AI make that you're trying to contribute, like get that out of here. We can't trust it. You're breaking things in ways that we don't know because we have to like vet everything that you're sending in for us to do. And it's just like, I will defer to the actual programmers out there. If they think it's good and has useful cases, that's fine. But at least what I have seen, it seems like a lot of like the good ones are like, no, this is still worse too, where, it doesn't seem that far off from the take that artists have and things like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, from the big corporation side of things with Microsoft to the gigantic independent side of things with Valve, I guess. Sarah, you've been playing more Deadlock in your life?
Yes!
Deadlock!
I'm all like, boo,
Oh,
Microsoft
good
bad, boo,
subject.
Microsoft bad, and I'm like, Valve? I love
best.
Valve. Like, ooh, we love Valve. I love a Steam Deck. I love that they use Linux. I love that they made their own, game system. But yes, we are back on the Deadlock train it's been a while, because we jumped in around 2024 when they first sent out those, like, early access invite-only things. I think MinnMax got one.
Leo played one. Yeah, I played one. I think Kyle played it for the Kyle Hilliard multiplayer 20 minutes of just like, okay, F this thing. And so we dabbled, and we talked about it a while ago, and it is weird that I think this is like the weirdest game rollout of all time. The fact that there has not been like an official trailer or anything yet.
Yeah,
you're
absolutely right.
They have like basic ass Steam landing page that they reluctantly had to put up to acknowledge officially that it exists, but it's become like a gaming staple
it's one of the
for a lot of
most
people.
played games on Steam.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I think, like only 5 or 6 games below like Counter-Strike.
What the hell?
Which
it's
is
amazing.
insane. It's absolutely, it's insanity. So recently, the reason we're seeing like a Deadlock resurgence is at the beginning of 2026, in January, they released kind of a huge update that they called Old Gods, New Blood, where they overhauled the map. So there used to just be like each team gets a base, and that was just your base, but now they've added these like old gods, like you have like the Archmother and the Hidden King, right? And they're essentially fighting, and your goal is to destroy the other person's god. And if you do that, everyone gets to have their wish come true on your team. It's kind of like, that's like the lore of the game, right? You're fighting in New York to destroy the other person's patron god, and when you destroy it, you get your wish to come true.
Is this separate from like, I've heard people are really excited about kind of the new mode they added a while ago that was faster, like just one lane. That's just a separate
They got rid of a lane.
Okay.
I didn't realize that. It used to be 4 lanes, now they're on to 3, and it's dual lanes, no matter what. It used to be like someone was solo. But the thing is like, I had fun with this game in 2024.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a good game. It's crazy in depth. The characters are all fun and interesting. They have interesting kits. It doesn't feel like same old, same old. And then 2026, they're like, we have 6 new heroes for you to pick from, 6 new characters, a new map, all this new stuff, and it's still not out yet. And you're like, oh, okay. They added like a League of Legends like ARAM mode, which is like a 4v4 run it down mid situation. But yeah, the game is just, it's so good.
Wow.
The skill ceiling on it is so high. You can compare it more similarly to League of Legends than Overwatch, I would say. Because it does have that lane aspect, and it does have like, sort of like a time management and money management aspect that Overwatch doesn't have.
Yeah.
What I really like about it, it's also I've heard it referred to as like a movement shooter.
What does that
because you can do some like crazy tricks with like stamina. It's vertical. There's verticality. Right. There's like an underground subway system. So it has up, it has down. There's inside, there's outside. There's just stuff everywhere. But yeah, what I like about it is the high skill ceiling that comes with it, and it doesn't feel like you're constantly just involved, like you're just constantly in team fights, and you're like, well, I hope that I get to push my win button before they push their win button, which is kind of how Overwatch works.
Right.
And I assume Marvel Rivals, where it's like, oh, I have my win button. I hope you don't have your win button. But with things like the economy of the game, where you have to make sure you're up on money and stuff like that, and like items, kind of like League of Legends items, but it's like, you're like, okay, I see that you're buying a lot of healing items, so I'm gonna buy an item that makes it so you can't heal. It's just like, there's just so many moving pieces to this game.
So is it bringing you back to your League of Legends, a more positive version than the cesspool
I
that you
definitely
got
get
into
less
League?
toxic in this game than League of Legends, because I feel like in League of Legends, if you're losing, there's like not much you can do. But in Deathlock, if I'm losing, I'm like, okay, I'll just go like break boxes and make money in sadness.
Sure.
Before I show my face in the lanes ever again. But definitely, and I'm pretty sure it's still invite only. But
That's
if you,
so crazy.
It's crazy. Well, I don't know what Valve is doing. I literally sit like Jeff, I'm in bed, and I think, what are they doing with Deadlock? Because like they're just kind of, they released a huge patch 2 days ago. and they made a bunch of changes. But I'm like, what are we like? There's no ads. There's no they don't monetize it whatsoever. There's
really? There's zero monetization?
No monetization, no battle pass.
I did not know that.
And I can't tell you how happy that there is no battle pass because I hate like logging in and it's like ping, 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 ping. Like you just log in and you just play the game.
Yeah.
And that's
They're trying to just make this like for cool people so everyone gets really like, oh my God, how do I get to play this? How do I get and then they
everyone's playing it. It's like the 5th most played game on Steam.
Yeah, that is weird.
If you're not playing it, you're already like the trend's almost over, I would say.
But it's still invite only, right?
I think so, but I think you can easily find like a way in.
Yeah. I feel like it's probably how Valve's going to release all their games now. I bet they wish that they had the strategy for Artifact. Instead of like inviting people in and making a big thing out of Artifact and the announcement, and then it came out and it kind of floundered. Like, let's just make sure this thing is rock solid before we let the world know with what? A trailer during the TGAs? Like, I don't even know how you would let the world know about this freaking game.
What's even the point? It's like one of the most played games ever.
Right.
And it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. And you're like, what are they doing? Like, because it feels like they're just cooking.
Yeah.
Like they're just cooking in their corner. They're like making a really fun game, adding new characters. Like, they're just doing their thing.
I love that.
They don't need the money, so.
Exactly.
They'll cook on it as long as they want.
Whatever. They should add microtransactions. Hear me out to this game and just make it lousy with it, and then use that to offset the price of RAM for the new Steam hardware and Valve hardware overall, and then make a deep discount on the hardware for us people who don't want to play the game, but we want Steam Deck and Steam Box and all that fun stuff.
I mean, I assume they monetize this at some point because, I don't know, companies don't make video games for
I assume they'll
fun and
have
charity.
like skins.
Yeah.
Skin, like they'll do and that I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I don't want a battle pass. I feel like I'm just exhausted about another thing to do every day and to not do.
Yeah.
Please don't touch me with a battle pass. I'm tired.
I love that you're playing it, Sarah. I'm glad that it's like your friend group is into it. It's like become a new go-to.
Yeah. No, I literally, whenever I close my eyes, I open them and I'm playing Deadlock. And I think I put more than 20 hours into Deadlock in the last 2 weeks, which is a lot for me to be big. Because I do, I have the brainworms that are that like competitive games.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So yeah, it's definitely it's a very rewarding game.
Yeah, I love that.
So if you like competitive games, try it out.
Try to find a way in. We dare you.
It's not that hard. It's like fenced off, but the gate's open.
Right. I get it. Hey, Kelsey. I was on vacation for 2 weeks. I might have mentioned it. And I brought my Steam Deck, and I was listening to the MinnMax show. And I thought, what's wrong with me? Every year, we always feel guilty about not backing up Kelsey with her preferred games of the year and not enough people playing these games. And I was like, I'm swimming in the ocean every day. I am in the mood to go back to my apartment and learn about some frickin' mermaids. And so I played through Paranormasight, The Mermaid's Curse, just for you, Kelsey.
Wow.
I did it. If I could make...
And?
I really, really enjoyed it. It was a really eye-opening experience for me where I've been so naive. And we talked about it a little bit earlier this year in terms of visual novels on the podcast. Jeff, remember when we were talking about Wednesdays? And how impactful that experience was. And I was like, why have I not paid more attention to visual novels throughout my entire life? People that love them absolutely love them. And typically when I accidentally stumble into one, I say, all right, too much reading, next. And how naive that is, because I love narratives that take big swings. And I think the level of production in visual novels, it lets people take some big swings. You can tell stories that can't be told in games that rely more on minute-to-minute gameplay. When it's so narrative focused, we can make some wild things happen. And so I enjoyed the hell out of my time with Paranormasight, The Mermaid's Curse.
Yay, welcome to the visual novel world.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not just for girls.
Hey,
it's for everybody.
I'll be damned. Sarah, are you a visual novel person in general?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? What is the go-to? What am I missing out on that is idiotic of me not to have checked out at this point?
Nothing for you, Ben. You're good.
What does that mean? We just opened the door. Let me walk through it.
We'll do an Otome game episode at some point, right?
A Pinky Bang.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, I mean, spoiler free, but with The Mermaid's Curse, it is a lot of exposition setting up the idea of like, a lot of cultures are obsessed with mermaids, and they say that if you eat the flesh of a mermaid, you become immortal. And so it is just a lot of lore and a lot of kind of codex building up this stuff. But then like I was delighted by all that. And then like halfway through the game or so, like when stuff starts hitting the fan, and let's say in theory, some bodies start hitting the floor, it's like, this is awesome. This is what I want. I want some big weird swings. I like narratives where people can die, wild things can happen. And I feel like with Mermaid's Curse,
I say I embrace death in my video game?
Yes, I always like it. I feel like visual novels might have been the secret ingredient I've been missing all this time. For like, you want characters to drop dead all the time?
Did you play Road to Empress? It's not really...
I started it. Yeah, I started it. Yeah. That's
you want bodies to hit the floor.
You're right. I
got bodies.
You want soup to make your body hit the floor.
That's exactly it. And thematic spoilers for Mermaid's Curse, not getting into specifics or anything there, but we're talking about immortality here. So just a quick note. But like, I think it might be my favorite discussion on immortality in any medium that I've experienced. Like, it's so good about like, well, let's actually talk about immortality, what it means, the impact of it. And it's just like good dorky discussions about like, okay, but what does that mean if this, and then if you're immortal and then you do this, what does that mean if this, like they're asking such geeky questions, but I love it. And I love how serious it takes immortality. Like this is a nightmare. Let's actually walk through why this is the worst thing to happen to a human being. And through that lens, let's talk about the nature of mortality itself and what you should use your life for and what's a waste of a life and what's a good use of a life. But I thought it was so well done on that overall front of just like, let's actually tackle the ins and outs of immortality here. And I'm frustrated by other media that has like immortal characters. Here's what I think of. I think of Loki season 2. It's a very specific reference, but there's this moment where Loki is trying to do some crap. Marvel. Loki's trying to do some nonsense. He's like, oh, I guess I'll just try to do this for 800 years and get in a time loop and go ahead and do it. And then it's like, well, 800 years pass by, moving on. And the show just like moves on like normal. It's like, he just experienced 800 years. He should be a dramatically different person. Like for this task that he had to conquer, 800
but
years.
But he's already been around for assumed 800
But that
years.
is the weird
and
conundrum.
I feel like you hit a point of immortality when you don't change anymore. You just become apathetic.
See, this is why I like this version in The Mermaid's Curse of Immortality, because specifically what I loved about it is characters who've been around for a long time. It's a little bit of some amnesia tropes, but it's believable where they're like, I've been around for so long, like the human brain can only remember so much. So like, of course, so much of my early life is completely hazy, and it kind of gets into that video gamey amnesia trope, but in a way that's justified. Because it's like, I don't know what the hell was going on 800 years ago. Like I have died and been reborn so many times. Maybe my brain's been destroyed several times. And so like everything is just like this fun level of haze for, an immortal character in that game that I think is so cool. And so thanks, Kelsey, for recommending it on the podcast a while ago.
Hey, thanks for playing it. I'm happy that my endorsement of it struck a chord with you.
Yeah, and like specifically somebody who's been obsessed with Square for a long time and Square Enix and all this, and just trying to chart the ins and outs. Like I think we should pay more attention to it when we talk about Square's successes. Of like, I don't know, they released the 2 Paranormasight games that people love, and just wider people aren't factoring that in because it's seen as just like a visual novel thing, I guess. But in terms of like, Square's success stories, like we should totally pay more attention to Paranormasight and how happy those fans are now of this series and how they're knocking it out of the park. And they're like, so it was written by Takanari Ishiyama, who was the co-director, Sarah, this game feels like you, who's the co-director of Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings on the DS. Is that your jam? Okay, cool. But then looking into it as well, they also were on the sound design team for the first Metal Gear Solid, which is wild because in Paranormasight, I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, Kelsey, they use something that sounds so much like the Metal Gear exclamation point. Every time something alarming happens, it's like, Brank! And to think like this, the writer for these games might have designed that sound effect for Metal Gear Solid and then is implementing it into every other sentence in Paranormasight. It's such a fun idea. But anyways, a lot that we could unpack. I'm sure we're talking about moments of the year. We'll dive into it because there's some really fun moments with full spoilers on for all this stuff. But don't look past it, everybody. Those genres that people love, that you just say, yeah, I know they're good, but that's not my cup of tea. Try them, everybody. give these things a chance. That's Paranormasight, The Mermaid's Curse. You all want to learn how this whole thing operates?
Please.
Is it mermaids?
It's mainly mermaids, yeah. No, everybody, Patreon! Patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. Jump in at any tier. $2 tier, you can submit a question or comment for the deepest dive for us to read during the next discussion on Resident Evil Requiem. $5 tier, you unlock the bonus podcast feed, which has early, completely ad-free version of this podcast, which we don't talk about enough, but if you want an ad-free and early version of this podcast, that's an option for you, so jump on in. And of course, a special thank you to our ongoing long-time supporter, the good folks over at I Am 8-Bit. They want everybody to know about Persona 5 Tactica, specifically the vinyl soundtrack that they have in their wonderful online store. If you like Persona music, you could see yourself getting into collecting vinyls or just playing them on the old record player, you can't top the presentation from I Am 8-Bit and Atlas here. The Persona 5 Tactical Vinyl Soundtrack, absolutely awesome. And it is in I Am 8-Bit's wonderful online store where they have so many other incredible things. If you're a dork, and if you're listening to this, I think you might be at least dork curious. So jump on in, iam8bit.com, check out their wonderful online store. You will find something that is cool, that is right for you, because they have great taste and amazing things in their wonderful online store. And you should help support I Am 8-Bit because they support the MinnMax community each and every week by shipping out a prize to whoever has the best questions submitted over on Patreon. 4 community questions. We'll choose our number 1 favorite, and that person will win a prize. This week, again, I Am 8-Bit freaking rules. Support them. Keep them around. Because the best question wins the Banjo-Kazooie vinyl soundtrack. One of those popular vinyl soundtracks in I Am 8-Bit's wonderful online store, and they're just shipping it out to whoever has the best question. So the pressure is on us to choose the right person. Ready, Jeff? I'm
ready.
Okay, Nick Creed writes in. They say, hey, y'all, what was the first console that you actually anticipated releasing? Meaning you were interested enough in games to learn of the console prior to it actually coming out. For example, I didn't know what an N64 was until I saw one in person, but I remember them announcing the GameCube. Which, by the way, unfinished business, what is with you, Jeff, and seeing the GameCube and saying that's trash? What are you talking about?
No, listen, it was because I had been paying $70 and $80 for Nintendo cartridges for the Nintendo 64 era because it was stupidly expensive. I was like, just go with CD. That's what everybody else is doing with CDs. And then they were like, we're doing little mini CDs. And I was like, no, I'm out. I mean,
they're still cheap as the other games. You know, it wasn't super expensive.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know at the time. This was before it came out, so it was a little preventative of like, this seems like it's going to be another disaster. And I just want normal media. I just want to play a game on normal media, guys. And now we don't even get physical media. So
yeah. Do you remember
it's a funny choice in hindsight though, because the GameCube was probably like, of all Nintendo systems, that was the one where they were trying to be the least different.
Yeah.
You know, like they were like, yeah, we'll edge it up a little bit. We'll try to appeal a little bit less to the kids and be a little bit more like a PlayStation, be a little bit more like this new Xbox thing that's happening. And so it's just funny to be like, well, now you've lost me. I need to go to one of your competitors.
I had gone through some stuff with 64, Kelsey, that it was
through some stuff.
I was ready to.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it was expensive, and then there was the whole like the add-on that they wanted you to get for the Nintendo 64 and the extra like RAM that you could put in ahead of their time for that. So it was a lot of big droughts for games that it was just like I'm ready to leave my Nintendo loyalty and try a different console. And I went Xbox, guys.
Great choice.
It took me a long time to figure things out.
I love the original Xbox. But Jeff, what was the first console you remember looking forward to? Was it
it was 64. That was definitely the one where it was like, saw it coming out in Nintendo Power, was excited for 3D. And it lived up to the hype initially. Yeah. For sure.
I think I'm a weird person to host a podcast on several fronts, but one of them is that like I didn't have like gaming magazines growing up or anything. And so it's probably PlayStation 2, which seems crazy, I think, maybe for my age and stuff. But it wasn't until like I got into PlayStation as my first console that I was like, all right, now I'm going to GameSpot every day on my computer, and now they're starting to hype up this PlayStation 2, and that was the one that I was salivating for, and I got on launch day, and it was so freaking exciting.
I think it was GameCube for me. At least that was the first one I can remember. Like, I definitely knew about this before seeing one in person. But I was still young enough that it wasn't like it was not a given that I was just going to get a GameCube, you know? Like, I was like, well, this seems really cool. I don't know when I'm going to get one of those.
Yeah, mine was the Wii, where I was like really paying attention to it. Because like I got a GameCube. I got a guilt GameCube because we moved. So my parents got me a GameCube because they took all my friends basically.
Oh,
so that
cool.
was like the bargaining chip with the GameCube. I wanted it, but I didn't have to do any I wasn't like hyped for it or anything. But yeah, and then when the Wii came around, I feel like that one was especially cool because they had like the motion controls for a kid, and it was definitely more kid focused.
Yeah. Where did you move to? Was it to Minnesota from Wisconsin or vice versa?
From Michigan to Wisconsin.
Right. Okay. So weren't you born in Wisconsin though?
No, I was born in Michigan.
Oh, weird. Okay.
By
And
Kelsey.
Sarah and I lived really close to each other in Michigan.
That's right. You probably saw each other from across the way.
Could be.
Just
We
like-
might have
I wish. Just
like you
taken
and
ballet
Asha.
classes together.
Yep, just like me and
We don't
Asha high-fiving each other at the U of M. Everyone's connected, you guys. Oh My Blob writes in, and they say, Sarah, do you ever think you're like slowly moving west though, and eventually you're gonna go to like South Dakota and then Montana?
No, because like I already did that. I went Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Japan,
I guess that's true, yeah.
and then I went Japan, LA, Minnesota. So
Right.
I've been there, done that, and I'm back now.
Forever. Welcome
yeah.
to your grave. Oh My Blob writes in, they say, hey, that sweet Banjo-Kazooie vinyl got me thinking. Can all of Microsoft's problems be traced back to fumbling Rare? If they release sequels to Perfect Dark, Banjo, and Conker's Bad Fur Day on the OG Xbox, is there a world where they could be bigger than PlayStation right now? I like this hypothetical. If they released a Perfect Dark successor on the original Xbox, if Perfect Dark Zero came out on the Xbox instead of Xbox 360, then obviously they would have crushed PlayStation. I think that's the way I'd like to think of it.
No, I don't think there was any crushing PlayStation. I don't think that was possible, especially because I mean you can't win Japan. So you are starting from a losing position no matter what. You can't win over Japan.
It's true, but I mean, in the start of the generation of PS3 and 360, I do think they were borderline crushing PlayStation, and then PS3 just kind of won in the long run based on all the regional success, I think. But there's something there. But
I just don't think that changes the long term, though.
no.
Like,
Yeah.
they are still a Microsoft company that would not have. This wouldn't have changed the Microsoft trajectory into AI and slop and all of that has started to lead us down this path.
yeah, the Rare thing specifically, though, it is interesting. Like, I like that they tried to push Rare into new directions, that it wasn't just, all right, let's lean into sequels to everything that technically we have the rights to. You know, like, all right, we're going to try and make Grab by the Ghoulies. We're going to try and make Viva Pinata as a big franchise and give it its Saturday morning cartoon show and stuff. Like, they were trying. I don't think it's fair to say they kind of let Rare die on the vine. I mean, definitely, I guess in kind of the Avatar era, Rare was awfully silent for a long time, just making a bunch of Connect Sports nonsense. But before that, I feel like they did okay with them.
I guess I feel like their handling of Rare was foreshadowing for what would come with a lot of studios that they don't know what to do with and franchises that they didn't know what to do with. But I don't know that a Perfect Dark sequel would have saved them.
I love the idea. It made me think though of like, what was it for Conker's Bad Fur Day? They did something, and I forgot about it, but I looked into it. But remember Asobo, the team, the Microsoft Flight Simulator people, but they made a game for HoloLens that was called Young Conker, where it was like an AR game. Where it was like this nasty-looking Conker running around.
Has Xbox ever known what they were doing?
I don't know. It's weird to think of. But then it made me think, too, of just kind of like that strategy of, like, we're living up to some of Rare's past. Like, remember when they released that Battletoads game in 2020? And it was kind of like, even for a brawler, it was like, yeah, I know. Solid 6.5 out of 10. I'm glad you tried something with Battletoads, but moving on. Like, they're trying to, technically, we're keeping these franchises alive. We're vaguely remembering that we have them, but we're not going to lean in and make an all new Conker. But I do think Banjo is, I think, the biggie. With Perfect Dark having created and collapsed into a black hole and taking the entire Initiative studio with it. Like, I do feel like Banjo-Kazooie is the big outlier. Like, when is Microsoft going to try to do something big with Banjo? Are they going to get a studio like a Toys for Bob to create a new platform? And even if they did, God bless it, I don't think a single needle is moving in any direction because of it.
I don't think they will for that reason. I don't think anyone cares, unfortunately.
It'll make some people very happy with the announcement.
And not just because of like the IP, but that core kind of game is so outside of what Microsoft is doing at this point. They just want Call of Duty to sell another $1 billion and that's it.
But hear me out. And it is weird that this hasn't happened now. You put the Battletoads and you put Conquer in Call of Duty. How has that not happened yet? It's weird, right?
Does this
help
effort. Anything?
What? Yeah! They conquer PlayStation if you put Conquer in Call of Duty. Come on! No,
I don't know.
I don't like that back catalog of games that Microsoft technically owns. I think they just don't care, and I don't know that they should care.
I don't care. Certainly people care. If you were working within Microsoft, you would find your passion project. Be like, come on, guys, let's run it up the hill. Let's try and make this happen. It's not that they don't care. It's just like,
let's bring back Conquer.
I guarantee there are dozens and dozens of people within Microsoft who are screaming that on a daily basis. Totally.
I feel like
I just don't think like Conquer's that popular. Like,
yeah,
I think
right.
that's just. I don't think any of like Rare is an awesome studio. They've made some great games, but I don't know that these characters are as iconic as, given our age, we feel like they are. You know, and also just to shout out for what it's worth, the Kinect games that Rare made were popular.
Yep,
like those actually were very loved and played. So, I mean, they're not particularly exciting, I suppose, but like, I don't know. I don't feel like that's like the worst fumble in the world to be like, can you make a popular Wii Sports competitor at the height of the Wii? You know?
Yeah. And I mean, in terms of fumbling Rare, I mean, they made one of Microsoft's biggest successes over the last 15 years, with Sea of Thieves. I mean, I know Everwild collapsed in a big way as their follow-up, and it's been a long time, but it's still like, all right, there was one lightning bolt that struck with Rare in the last couple of decades here, with Sea of Thieves. Was just still huge.
It feels like it depends on what generation of Rare that you're from, and that you want them to just be like, oh, you should have just made more GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, because that's what I played when I was a kid. Yeah. And I feel like I just don't know, like, I don't know enough about the internal history of Rare and where they were at, even when Microsoft bought them, in terms of leadership and, what they were still good at making at that point, or, had the passion for internally, that I don't know how much blame to assign to Microsoft, but I'm willing to assign it all the time, anytime. So
there it is. Dustin Davis writes in and says, "Hey, broskies." I assume that applies to everybody here. What's the most chill or relaxing room in a video game? I love this question, Dustin. They say
the Animal Crossing aquarium.
Excellent.
Is hands down with all the fish in it, floating around with the low lights and the that's it. It's done.
Damn it.
I fear she just cracked the code. I fear there is nothing else to say.
Yep. All right, we're gonna move to the next question because every other suggestion is embarrassing. Dustin,
I do like the coffee shop in Animal Crossing Wild World too, inside the museum.
The Wild World one specifically. Okay.
Yeah.
And they brought the coffee folks back eventually, New Horizons, right? Wasn't that like a later thing? Bruce?
Yeah.
Okay. So Dustin says that they recommend. You guys got to go there. They recommend the room in Surge's house in Chrono Cross as a strong contender, which is really good. You open the curtains, it's like overlooking the ocean. Everything's kind of like wicker. It is a really good house. And it made me think of like Aerith's house from Final Fantasy VII is cozy, but just because of like, in contrast to all of the rest of Midgar. Is there, in terms of chill or relaxing room, do the save rooms in Resident Evil get a boost? Because it's like, not only is it like a cozy room with cozy music, but it's also a feeling of like, thank God I'm in here every time you get in there.
I was just thinking about that as like a sarcastic joke to make, and then I
Really?
thought, well, it is actually.
It makes you feel relaxed more than most rooms, you know?
Now I want to rank the top Resident Evil save rooms because I know that there's one that's like genuinely very relaxing out there. Because some of them are just like, you know, just like a closet or something.
Closet
but
somewhere,
I think others like are really nice.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, is it 3 where it's kind of like a locker room? Maybe that's 2 below the stairs. Yeah, I think that's 2. Anyways, Sky Fellowship, they ask, is GTA 6 too big to succeed? Yes, you heard that right. The way the industry is going, it feels pretty clear we are spiraling towards another crash of some sort, even if it's not like the Atari crash. And I think GTA 6 would be the game that finally causes us to go past the tipping point, because GTA 6 will no doubt be projected to make $1 gazillion. So if it only makes $1 gajillion instead, I can see articles already of saying it did not meet expectations and the inevitable layoffs that'll come after. Is there any universe where GTA 6 is letting people down and it's not the savior of the industry here?
I feel like even if it did, enough people are going to buy it that it won't matter.
That it let people down?
Once you buy it, they already got the money. So it's like maybe you buy it and you're disappointed, but I think it's going to sell a lot no matter what. It just depends on how much they put into it and if they can recoup that. And if they can't, then everybody loses their job.
Yeah,
and even if it does, then everyone loses their job anyway.
If the question is, will everyone get laid off? I mean, I don't know how much that hinges on results at this point. It kind of seems like that happens either way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even if reviews start coming out and people are like, this is not what I was hoping it would be, I don't think that like people are just going to buy it. I don't think people are going to be like, I'll skip GTA 6. I'll wait for GTA 7.
They're going to buy it and play it, and Rockstar is going to keep adding stuff to it. I'm sure the online mode is going to be insane, and I'm sure it will sell 1 billion copies. And it would be insane for Take-Two to argue. I can't imagine a world in which they actually argue that like it didn't meet sales expectations.
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably get to see that chart of just like the sales of this game versus GTA 5 and seeing if it's ahead of schedule, behind schedule, all that dorky stuff and whatnot. But I think so much of it is just like maybe they'd have some wild forecast because of GTA Online because they made so much frickin' money with 5 that like if in some way 6's online mode isn't catching on the way that 5 did, they'll project it as slightly disappointing. But this is the game that's so big that everyone's going to have every type of headline possible about this game. So don't be surprised.
There's going to be discourse. Like, there's going to be discourse, and they're going to be like, why aren't we all talking about this thing? And it'll be because 90% of gamers don't care about that thing. And it's like the average gamer. Like, I think the thing about GTA 6 is it's going to appeal to the average gamer, which I assume is the gamer that doesn't consume that much games media.
Yeah.
And they don't consume that much. They're literally just a person they just come home and turn on their console and they want to play GTA 6, right?
Yep.
So I feel like they're going to be like, why aren't people talking about this? And it's like, because we're not in the gaming audience. This is like the everyman's game that they're all looking forward to.
Yeah. Luca, that's going to be so big, you guys. That's going to be such a weird moment when that game is out. It is going to feel like Silksong will be laughable in terms of just like the moment that we're all living in when those stores actually post that game online. Anyways,
it's
Luca,
so weird that I've been doing this for such a long time, I feel like, and this will be my first GTA launch as like a member of the media.
Funny. Yeah, that's weird. You're right. Luca Alberti writes in and says, hey, MinnMax crew, since it hasn't been discussed extensively yet and Ben is finally back from vacation, I'd like to hear more people talk about Blue Point's closure. It was discussed on last week's podcast a bit, but Jason Schreier at Bloomberg there talked about the big surprise layoff at Blue Point with that entire studio being shut down, which is, it's absurd. It is a tragedy for a studio that talented that's been around for so long, like the masters of the remaster, and then just kept growing beyond that. And then for them to release Demon Souls on PS5, everyone being like, hey, they pulled it off. That's a great remake of that game. Awesome. And then Sony buys them. They release nothing. And then Sony gives the entire studio the axe. Like one of the most promising studios of the last couple of decades, really. It's just like, hey, Blue Point on the rise. Blue Point, here we go. And then for this to be the end it's absurd. It's infuriating, And I was surprised that, Jason Schreier said that they laid off a staff of 70. Which I would have thought that studio was a lot more than 70, but maybe after the God of War multiplayer game was canceled, they already let some people go, and they were just down to 70.
It seems especially ridiculous because it's like there's no Sony has no shortage of games that you could remake, and you have the best company that remakes games. And it's I've seen a lot of people online very upset about that. Even in a world where like maybe everybody feels a little tired of endless remakes of games, it's like none of that criticism really applies to Bluepoint because they did it so good.
Yeah, and so the story is that they pitched several different projects and nothing was making it through. You know, one of them was they wanted to do a Bloodborne remake, and Sony was like, hey, all for it. And then From Software was like, please don't. Yeah. And Sony said, okay, whatever you want. I know we own Bloodborne, but we don't want to piss off Miyazaki naturally, so that makes sense. You know, the silver lining part of me feels like maybe From Software just said no to their remake because From Software wanted to do a 60 frames per second remaster or, you know, current gen patch or something in their own future, but who the hell knows? I think it's probably the more likely scenario of, you know, they're working on Duskbloods, which feels like it's a little bit of a spiritual successor, and From Software doesn't own Bloodborne, so they're like, why would we? It's kind of like the old saga when Fox owned the X-Men license, right? And then Marvel was not pushing X-Men stuff, and they were not pushing the comics because they're like, well, we don't own X-Men for the movies, so why would we push it? It feels a little bit like that, right? It's like, well, if we don't own Bloodborne, why would we want Bloodborne to be pushed that much more? We could kind of carve out new things as From Software. But so in that story, they also revealed that that Bluepoint, for their God of War multiplayer game, that it was going to take place in Hades, and it was going to be different versions of Atreus's personality that were going to be like playing together. And that was the multiplayer angle, which that is such an odd pitch. I'm more curious about it now. I really want to see like what their angle was just narratively for Atreus being sucked into hell and then multiple versions of him working together. Like that's such a weird idea. But I guess we'll never see it along with anything else from Bluepoint. But yeah, hopefully it'd be awesome if somebody else wanted to pick them up as a overall studio and they could kind of be revived like the Hi-Fi Rush developer. But it seems unlikely at this point. So it's a bummer. And another just notch in the belt of just being like, wait, what are these corporations doing? Why are they making what seems like so obviously the wrong call of shutting down this super talented studio that they were so proud to acquire and then do nothing with in terms of releasing stuff? It's embarrassing. Tess writes in. They say, hey, MinnMax, how far would you go to fulfill someone's dying wish? I don't know what it was. I saw somebody gave a thumbs up to this one that they wanted to answer it. And before I even hovered over it, I thought, this feels like a Kelsey thumb. I don't know why this feels like something.
Wait, there's no more context to that question?
That's all they want to know. They don't say what their dying wish is and that they're dying, if that's the follow-up you're hoping for, Kelsey.
I mean, I was hoping for, I guess, a little bit more, like, because now we're going super wish dependent, right?
Okay,
like,
sure.
Is their dying wish, something that I can feasibly grant, or is it something that I'm going to need to assemble a team of people and go to the media and what are, I don't know.
Go to the media.
What are we talking about here?
Is it possible to be offended from the afterlife? Like I had a friend of mine whose father passed away years and years ago. And he's like, yeah, he wanted his ashes to be spread on the British Virgin Islands. And I finally got him there recently, It's like, that's nice. Even if it took 6 years or something, that's still, it's like, all right, still check the box. You did it. Ashes where they want their ashes to go. Done deal.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of thing that I feel like I'd go pretty far for. Like, some things may take a little while, but especially if it's like, I would like my ashes to go here and I have no plans to go to that place. In the near future, like I can make that happen.
Yeah.
Unless it's the inside of a volcano. Like, I don't know. I need more context for this.
The Disneyland scenario gets tough with Code Grandma, all that stuff. Yeah. Could you guys imagine ever ignoring somebody's wishes? And I don't want to get too personal, but there might have been a family situation where, let's say, some grandparents hey, I want this to happen. And then my family's like, we're not doing that. And that was the only one in the family that's like, seems like we should do it. It was their in their will and their dying wish. It's like,
what was the thing?
It's too personal. I
must judge based on that.
Basically, it was like, hey, let's have a celebration of life at the church. And my family's like, we don't want to do that. And I was like, we should absolutely do that. And they're like, we don't like that church. We don't want to do it. It's like, doesn't matter what we want or what we like. Like, but
I mean, was Grandpa like a horrible racist or something? Like, what's
no,
okay.
nothing of the sort. I think it's just a matter of like my family being very not religious and my grandma being religious, and kind of that conflict came through. And after she passed in a way that I was like, you guys, like, I know she's not here, but we need
totally
to
go. Like, I'm not religious either. I would go do something at a church if I need to do that. If that's a dying wish.
Kelsey.
Like,
will you join my family, please?
Sucks, Hanson.
No, they don't. They're just a little atheist robotic at times. That's how I would describe it.
I did the celebration in the church thing, and my grandparents apparently had bought like a package deal with like a funeral home. And when we went to the church basement to celebrate, like everything was branded, like the plates, the napkins, the cups, all had the funeral like logo on it. And I was like, I feel like Grandma and Grandpa got scammed. I was like, what are they charging us for these paper cups with their logos on it?
It's weird.
And then my grandma was like, and I made sure to get the thing indoors by a bench so you can sit with me. And I'm like, Grandma, you're in northern Wisconsin. I'm not going to come visit you.
You can't tell her that.
I didn't, but she was like, I got mine next to a bench so you could come and sit with me. And I was like, I'll sit with you in my home.
I want you to make a bench out of my ashes and then sit on me, please. Tess, already wrote it in with that one. And then Kelsey Sims writes in and they say, hey, on a lighter topic, I've been thinking since the new Mario Tennis game, we've had Mario sports games for so long. What other franchises should get a shot? The first one I thought of would be the same sport, different game, which is Zelda Tennis. Because you can imagine Link and Ganon doing the energy ball thing, but with a tennis ball over and over again.
That does work. Yeah, my initial reaction to this was no other franchise because no other game really has mascots that people care enough about to buy a spin-off. And then I thought, well, Pokemon, actually. I would play sports games that have a bunch of Pokemon running around in them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you get to build out, like, what sport has, like, the biggest team size? Since you have such a huge roster of Pokemon. It's football, like 11 on 11?
Well, it could be a whole league, is the thing.
Some sort of Pokemon puzzle league, you're saying. I could imagine such a fantastical concept.
Except cool things. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, why not Pokemon at the Olympics? Like, Mario and Sonic, okay, but, like, I think the Pokemon could really master the Olympics.
And it'd be so cool because the entire stadium, like, every other Pokemon you don't choose, they're, like, in the crowd. Like, it'd be really fun to, like,
ones that didn't make the cut.
Yeah, yeah, all the lazy, weird ones, yeah.
You'd have, and so many of them already, Hitmonchan could be boxing.
Yeah.
You got the muscle Pokemons that would be weightlifting.
Right.
You got all kinds of...
like Diglett in the luge. I'm trying to think it would, like, fit really tightly in there. I think that would work well. It's like, it's weird to think of the franchises that haven't tried this yet. It's like Mega Man Soccer on Super Nintendo, I guess, is like a dabbling.
Why won't they do it with Final Fantasy? They have so many Final Fantasy characters. Why can't they play tennis?
Because Air Guys sold horribly.
Yeah, as the fighting game. Yeah. I mean, Square
made... the world doesn't need another fighting game with your IP
on
in
a PS1.
Okay, everybody listen up. The world doesn't need another fighting game with your IP in it. I am so serious.
Is this TXKO stuff?
Knock it off. We got Pokken. We got, like, the League of Legends fighting game. Stop. Play tennis. Play tennis. Like, I'm telling you, I'm begging you, play a sport.
Yep. Okay. It is weird that Square, instead of making Final Fantasy sports games, like, Square developed was the DS or 3DS, that Mario basketball game? I think it was 3DS, right? Like,
there was a DS basketball game on. Yeah, there was a Mario DS basketball game. 3 on 3.
I'm thinking of. Yeah. Yep.
It's just weird that when any other franchise does it, it feels like a cash grab to me, and for some reason it doesn't feel that way with Mario characters. I
think it's like we trust that Nintendo characters actually are popular, and all these other ones are like, look, I love you, Sackboy, you're real cute, but, like, no one cares about Sackboy or Ratchet and Clank or whatever.
Your kart racing stuff. Ooh, okay. I mean, Leafeon, thank you for filling this hole. So everyone typing out a comment. Stop typing out the comment. Attention, everybody typing comments. Because they point out that in that Mario Hoops 3-on-3, you could unlock Final Fantasy characters in it. So you could you could unlock a Moogle, Ninja, White Mage, Black Mage, and Cactar to play basketball, which does sound pretty
I guess
sweet,
I gotta play
actually.
this game.
Yeah, it might be the best ever.
I liked the GameCube NBA Street game that you could play as like Mario and stuff, and I think they should do that. Like rather than making a whole Pokemon sports game or whatever, just make like a regular sports game, but like there's 8 Pokemon unlockable.
Right.
That'll get me back into playing MLB The Show.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. It'd be fun. Why not? Super This Way, known as Eric, they say, hey all, how often do you use your public library? I was able to play Age of Imprisonment and Kirby Air Riders recently, and I just want to say that it was really freaking cool. Shout out to libraries. Yeah, people have written in before being like, hey, play new games for free. Use your library, everybody. This is a wild resource. But yeah, I mean, I am obsessed with our library, and it's something that when I was looking for houses with my wife, she's like, we got to be close to a library for the kids. And I was like, what? I mean, it'd be a nice perk, but it's not like a must. And now that we're near one, it's like, oh my God. Yeah, just to have a place in the winter that we can go to. And it's just, they do such a good job. And I know I'm a 38-year-old man, but somehow a couple weeks ago was the first time I like used a button maker. And they had a whole button making station at this library. It was so much freaking fun because you got to they had like a bunch of old books, and then you could just go and take old pictures from old books and like make buttons out of it. And the best is like there was this book that we had checked out from the library forever that my kid really loved, and then we returned it, and then they had it in the pile that you can make buttons out of. It's like, oh cool, we can take all your favorite characters from that Mecha Builders book and now just make a bunch of sweet buttons. So Sarah, I think where this is going is I want to do a New Show Plus option. That's us getting into button making, but it's using a bunch of old Game Informers that I have extras of, and we can just make buttons from old Game Informer art and stuff. Doesn't that sound cool?
And then we auction them off.
Sure. Yeah. We
charity or something?
Yeah, we have a big bag of like the buttons. That's Game Informer buttons for sure. I guess maybe we can let Game Informer be involved with it if they want to, but I think that'd be really fun. Anyways, libraries.
Yeah, libraries are great. Libraries are great. I know like some libraries have 3D printers. Some libraries have like baking dishes. A lot of them have like seeds. If you want to get into like growing your own vegetables from seeds, they have seeds for you.
What? Really?
Yeah, there's like a seed library where like people will bring their extra seeds that they don't want anymore. And you can take them and then use them. So yeah, libraries are great. I just primarily use Libby. So which is like the ebook library thing.
Right. Definitely the way to go.
Yeah, I use Libby a lot. I love our local library. And yeah, there is a surprising amount of like, if you're not in the habit of using your library, you should at least like go on their website and look it up and just kind of see what they have to offer, because the amount of like tools and random things like that might surprise you. And you might be like, oh, I do need a leaf blower, but I don't want to buy a leaf blower that I'm going to use once a year or whatever. Like libraries can sometimes have weird stuff like that. It's awesome.
Yeah. By the way, you want to know who's really crap in the bed in society? And I hate to trash these fine folks, but the Flintstones, like my kid has like a Flintstones vitamin every morning, and he's never seen the Flintstones. He has no context for it other than the vitamins. And he is like...
Vitamins have lived on.
Yeah.
Those vitamins were elite when I was a kid. My mom had to hide them because I was going after them. They were so good. They were so good. I was growing too fast.
And it's like the first gotcha machine because like, oh, Betty Rubble. Ooh, I'm so excited to get you. I'm getting Bam Bam today. But anyways, so it was like, every day he gets a vitamin. He's like, who is this? Is this Betty Rubble? Because I want to get Betty Rubble. He's really into Betty Rubble for some reason. He's never even seen her other than the vitamin depiction. I keep trying to tell him. He's not listening.
Tell him that. It's a married woman.
This is a problem. Be happy with the Great Gazoo like a normal human being. But I was like, oh, don't worry. We'll get a Flintstones book from the library. Not a single Flintstones book to be found. It is just like, as a media property, it is extinct.
It's really fallen off.
It's sad.
Well, there's just probably not a lot of people requesting it. Like libraries can only hold so many physical books, and how many kids are like, man, I love the Flintstones.
There are smaller media properties you would think that probably have books in that library over the Flintstones. They're huge. They're like Conker's level popularity. Are you saying that
they're just not making the media to begin with?
I think so. I think that's what's going on. Chat says he's a Flintstones kid. That's right. By the way, who wrote that jingle? We are Flintstones kids. From the commercial? Marty O'Donnell, Halo composer. It's true.
No.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That was one of his first jobs, is he wrote that jingle.
Greatness.
That's true. Kenjamin wrote in, they say, should live service games be taking more cues from friend slop games? There's clearly demand for fun new multiplayer experiences, just not the kind that bigger publishers are offering as of late.
No more battle passes. Death to battle pass, I stand up and scream.
I think she's right.
The point
Stop.
isn't for people to have fun. It's how do you make money and keep people continuing to come back to a live service game, and that's the opposite of friend slop, I feel like.
Yeah, you're right. It is like things need to be more serious. It needs to be like, this is something you come back to over and over again. And somehow because of that, the tone has gotten more and more serious. Whereas you look at like, I don't know, something like Fall Guys. I know it's not from one of the big three and stuff here, but is that kind of fitting that arena of like multiplayer and friend slop adjacent? And it kept people coming around?
Probably closest, right?
Yeah. But it got me thinking about that idea of like, what if there was just like a lighthearted multiplayer game that was put out by Sony or something? And then I remembered, Midnight Murder Club kind of was that. That was their party game last year that did not do well, seemingly. But then I was thinking about like Kiln from Double Fine. Like in terms of just kind of lighthearted multiplayer experiences, like that's kind of a miracle that is releasing this year. It's not friend slop necessarily, but it's at least lighthearted.
From my perspective, I think the issue is a lot of indie games are putting out paid games. Like they're not free to play, but people have come to expect a live service aspect from them no matter what. Like setting the precedent of like Peak is like, oh, they're constantly updating the game. They're adding all this stuff in. And people like that, like Stardew Valley has like a live service-esque thing where like there's always an update coming, right? And I feel like that's something that large companies struggle with adopting, like this fact that like you have to be active with it after launch, and they can usually do like a month or so, and then they just kind of fall off the face of the earth a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's my issue with like live service used to mean like free to play to me. But now even paid games are kind of required to live in this like live service universe, even though you're really not making money off of it.
Yeah. Juan Ibarra writes in, said, my girlfriend's cousin is having a wedding. Quit bragging. And is asking all the guests to submit one recipe so they can make a recipe book filled with meals from their loved ones. That's a sweet idea. It got me thinking, do people still have longtime family recipes or personal ones that you've created yourself? Or are all recipes just taken from the internet nowadays?
I do. I have a bunch of cookie recipes that have been in my... And here's the thing. I think a lot of passed down family recipes are often taken from a recipe book or the back of a Betty Crocker box or something. And they're just now removed from that context. And so you think it is a family recipe. I am certain that like we have like 12 family cookie recipes. Easily half of them have got to just be like my Mima got that off the back of the box. Like there's no way she was inventing all of these.
It's public domain now, yeah.
But they're fantastic, and what I still use is like, my mom has them on handwritten cards, and I have like photos of these handwritten cards, and that is what I use to bake them now. But yeah, I bet they were not all handwritten to begin with.
Plus, how weird is it for you, Kelsey, that like if you're ever wondering like, I wonder how she made that. The recipe's a little bit vague. I can just go check out her presence online with her just streaming herself cooking with Dana's Kitchen and her entire Twitch channel to see. Like, is all that stuff archived?
But it's not Dana's baking. She cooks. I'm talking about cookie recipes.
That's true. That's true. Good point.
I can't even imagine writing a family recipe without AI anymore. I was really waiting to get that one out.
That's good. That's good. Arturo Perez write in and say, hey, MinnMax, what makes your vacation feel like a vacation? Do you find it difficult to get into vacation mindset? Great question.
I want to hear this from Ben, who was active in the Slack channel his entire vacation.
And even joined for a meeting.
This is my call-out post.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I had to continue editing the podcast because I didn't want to put too much on Nick because he was new, and it was not fair for me to be like, well, you're new, but I'm on vacation. Bye. Good luck drowning in a 1,000 pages of notes on putting this podcast together and where to post it and how and all this nonsense. So I was like, well, if I'm doing the podcast, then I might as well stay somewhat checked in. But I think the key to a vacation is you need to have like at least one day where you kind of forget what day it is. And if you don't get that, that's a failure of a vacation. Don't you think? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I kind of failed this vacation.
Did you have that?
No,
Did you have that?
But I think at the same time, look, if like it's wind down time in the evening, instead of just like looking at my phone for 20 minutes, if I can jump in there and
I can't judge you because I do the same thing, but I'm still judging you because I know that it's bad when I do it, and so when other people do it, I'm like, you don't do that.
But you have done a better job, it seems like, of building up more people within the Pink Gorilla organization to kind of carry the load and stuff.
Part of that is like physical necessity, though.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I genuinely cannot be in 3 or 4 places at once. So like, at a certain point, I have to unload some of that stuff. But it takes a while to train people to, get them completely on board, and so that they are at least mostly in line with what you would do.
So
I get it. It's
if
hard.
you were going on a vacation for 2 weeks, how often would you check in with Pink Gorilla stuff, do you think?
A little bit every day.
And here's the twisted part. Isn't it because it's kind of fun?
I don't know if it's fun.
Exactly.
It's that, like, I am in deep anxiety if I don't for at least a couple minutes, and then it's really hard to enjoy a vacation with deep anxiety.
Right. Yeah. That's maybe it.
The closest I got was I went to London for a week once, and so I was on a completely separate time zone. And so there were I was like, okay, I'm going to be asleep when the store is open. Like, there's not that much I can do. So I only had like a short window during the day, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, I don't know, my getting up at breakfast was like 5 p.m. for them or something like that, kind of towards the end of the opening hours. And so I'd like check in at breakfast, but that was kind of my only crossover. And so, but I don't know, like, I think you need to make sure that you are not anxious on vacation. And so if you have to do 5 minutes of work to not be anxious, I mean, I don't think that's the correct system. That's what I'm stuck with right now.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what you're stuck with too.
I think so, but I do like it. Like, it's fun to edit the podcast and just have Haley like drop off notes for the podcast. And it's like, all right, now I'm just going to drink beer out by the pool at night and just edit this thing and just like, I don't know, look at you all from a window like a sicko and be like, what are they doing in there without me? This is cool. This is cool. And I keep telling myself, this is cool. This is cool. But Sarah, you think I should have unplugged completely?
No, I think it's like you just have one of those jobs where you can't unplug completely. And it's like I would never get one of those jobs because I don't think I could live my life like that.
Right.
Like always having to be checking in on something.
It's great. It's really fun, Sarah.
It is fun.
So
it
that's
is
what we're
fun.
saying.
It is.
It's not. Ben's a bit of a workaholic. And I'm the opposite of that.
Whatever that's called, yeah.
I love to do not work.
We were in Puerto Rico for 2 weeks, and we were there 2 years ago, like on the west coast of Puerto Rico. And I'm just amazed that, like, I feel like it doesn't come up that often in Minnesota. Like, a lot of people that we ran into there were from like the East Coast, like New Jersey and New York and stuff like that. But I'm like, is Puerto Rico just not on the radar as like an amazing vacation spot for a lot of people in the Midwest or the West Coast because the flight's too far? And so I was really thinking about this a lot. And how much of it do you think is, I looked up the stats that 50% of Americans don't know that Puerto Rico is part of America. Do you think that's part of the reason that people just don't talk about it more? Is like, why are so many people going to Hawaii? I think Puerto Rico is way better and 1,000 times more affordable than Hawaii. Like, why? This should be a no-brainer for everybody. Help!
I agree with you for what it's worth.
What do you want from me? What do you want from me? Are you sending me to Puerto Rico? Is this like an Oprah thing? Like,
MinnMax.
So guess what, everybody? We're moving MinnMax to Puerto Rico.
We're doing it. Let's go. I was talking to some people who were on like a cacao farm tour. We did like a whole guided tour, this whole thing. Anyways, long story short, but Kelsey, this one woman was so up your alley, it was aggressive, where she had like a Pokemon backpack and a bunch of Pokemon plushies like dangling off the backpack. But then I ran into her again at the airport. She's also from Minnesota, coming back, strangely enough. But I was like, oh, it was the highlight of your trip. And she's like, it was the baseball game. Because she's like, I've been to like almost every stadium and gone to so many baseball games. It's been a huge part of my entire life. And she's like, and I went to the game that was in San Juan, and it was Puerto Rico versus Cuba. And she's like, it was the most electric energy I've ever felt in a stadium. She's like, it had like soccer energy for baseball. And so at some point, Kelsey, I need your report on Puerto Rican baseball. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Anyways, Tyler Carver writes in and they say, if you lost access to the internet forever, would you be satisfied with the games you had readily available to play, saved on hard drives or physical? I just think about how many online games I would play that require internet connectivity, and I think I would be absolutely screwed if I was severed from the internet forever. Yeah.
I'd be fine on games.
Technically, yeah, I'm looking behind you. I think you'd be fine playing those games for the rest of your life.
I'd be worried about the rest of the non-access to the internet a lot more than I'd be worried about games.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess like the podcast.
I'm the wrong person to ask for this, though.
Yeah, that's true. We could all be talking about Mario 3-on-3 basketball just offline together on a weekly basis, so it'd kind of feel like we're able to podcast forever regardless.
Imagine just like meeting up and like chatting about games and not recording it. Like, what a waste of time, in my opinion.
What a weird idea.
Are we allowed to buy physical games, or is it just no new games?
I think
no
it's just internet's
games?
gone. So like you could still buy used games, I think. Like, would you be fine, you think, the rest of your life?
I want to be able to play Deadlock.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's a real sticking point.
You could turn it into like a tabletop experience. That'd be kind of fun, huh?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure that like just the things that I have downloaded, like I have some games that have been like delisted on Steam. It's like, I guess I could always go back to those. It's nice to have those in my emergency vault.
Are they going to continue working if they're downloaded, or is Steam one of those things where it's like, if you're offline for 2 weeks or whatever, then they're like, okay, well, you can't play this anymore. Is the question I have.
I think that.
But then I thought like, in terms of retro games, that may or may not be emulated. I guess that's like 100,000 games that, you don't need an online account to log in and say, no, I can still play these.
Yeah. Yeah. What do y'all like for question of the week? There's libraries, most chill or relaxing room in gaming. Is Microsoft's original sin not doing more with Rare? What do y'all like?
I kind of like the Rare one. The prize this week is Banjo-Kazooie, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, like,
all right.
It's a sign.
Oh my blob, congratulations. You just won the vinyl soundtrack to Banjo-Kazooie thanks to our friends at I'm 8-Bit. And now it's time for something we call Get a Load of This. Who's got a good one? Or a bad
Get
one?
a load of this. I've been watching the World Baseball Classic as much as I can. And every time they do this, it's kind of like, Japan will be there. Yeah, the USA will be there. Like, they'll all advance. The manager for Team USA, Mark DeRosa, did not realize that the USA could be eliminated before the elimination round. And losing to Italy last night means there's a decent chance the USA does not advance. And I think that is, first of all, you should probably be fired for not knowing that. And like, it felt like he was kind of trying to get everybody some playing time. And like, obviously these are all superstars. So like, when I say in a little league way, I don't mean like, like these are all superstars playing. They're all very good.
Sure.
But it definitely felt like rather than putting together a coherent game plan, it was just sort of like, well, let's make sure everybody gets a little bit of a chance to play. And they lost. And that's crazy. So look forward to maybe the US not being in the elimination rounds of the World Baseball Classic. That's crazy.
Love the drama.
That's good stuff.
Rooting for us to lose. I don't know. just for
based on that.
Plot. Just for the plot.
Based on that, I feel similar because it's like if you show up not even being able to conceive of a world where you lose,
right.
I think like you should be taken down by that.
That feels right. Yeah. Get a load of this. Kids ask the darndest things, and they ask a lot of questions that you don't think about. Like, how old is Big Bird? I was like, how old is Big Bird? What do y'all think? What is the canonical age for the character of Big Bird?
12.
Big Bird he has a nest. He owns property.
Yeah, but this is like puppet logic, you know?
he
Like you
presents
got to
a
be like
youthful
the biggest
appearance.
a child can conceive of, the largest
But
age they
Big
can
Bird-
conceive of.
I always thought Big Bird was giving like adultish vibes compared to the other Sesame Street characters like Elmo, which are clearly children.
Correct. That's what I thought as
So
well.
Big Bird, to me, I'm thinking like 20s, but now I'm like, if he's 14, this is gonna shake me to my core.
But keep in mind, he does have Snuffleupagus. He believes in imaginary friends. Does that bring the age down? Canonically,
he's hanging out with a bunch of kids.
unmedicated.
yeah, he's out of his mind. There's no doubt. Big Bird, canonically 6 years old.
No,
This is what I was outraged about.
No.
You're totally
But,
right.
No.
but that's like is that bird years?
No, I think that's human. I think
but if you put it in bird years, I think that makes him 20.
This
That's
is
true,
fudgy
probably.
math. This
My
is
birds
fudgy
will
math.
live to be like 25, probably. So that would make him, like in his 30s, right?
But I think he comes
got a
across
house.
as a kid, like he needs help. And so like there's a video of like a writer from Sesame Street breaking it down where Elmo is 3.5, Abby is 4, Rosita's also a kid. Like, but then there's the ageless characters who are basically the way they see it is like the ones who can help versus the ones who need help. So like Bert and Ernie, ageless, they're adults. Grover, adult. Cookie Monster, strangely adult. The Count, immortal. He's like an adult, you know. But the Big Bird was the weird one of like 6. That seems odd.
What about Oscar?
Oscar, adult, ageless, right? Yeah. Now
He
Squirmy,
can help?
He's definitely an adult.
he can't help. He doesn't want to because it's funny for him to be a little stinker about the whole thing. I think, right? But it's also just fun because having kids is very fun. I don't know if I get that across, and Jeff screams about that enough. But like, it's just fun because he's always like asking questions like, "Who's a monster? Is Elmo a monster?" It's like, "Yeah, Elmo's a monster." He's like, "Is Bert and Ernie, are they on monsters?" Like, no. He's like, "Oscar?" I'm like, "I think Oscar's a monster." Okay, what about Squirmy, the worm? I was like, no, I think that's just a worm. And Big Bird is a monstrous bird, but I don't think he's a monster. It's very fun to try and unpack Sesame Street. So check it out, Sesame Street, everybody. Run, don't walk.
Get a load of this.
Will do.
Mine's more just a fun fact that I brought with me, but spring is coming, and now is the time to, if you're out in the woods, look for daffodils specifically. Daffodils are a longtime marker of where old homesteads used to be. So if you're near any farm fields and you see daffodils, it means that there was a house there at one point that had a garden. And what I think is so interesting is I go walking around my parents' house where there's a big farm field and a little tree line, and there's always a row of daffodils there, and no structure, no building, just a road. And like daffodils are not native to the US. So anytime you see them, they were planted. And I just think like it's so incredible that like these homesteads were like 18th century, 20th century. The buildings are gone, the rocks are gone, but the garden remains. And I feel like when I plant stuff, I'm like, will this be here when my house is no longer here? So think about that next time you plant something.
I love that. My
I
bushes.
just planted some daffodils.
Oh, look at that.
And they will outlive you. Look at those daffodils and know that they will be there.
Get a load of this. It's a video from Jenna Stober called "This Year's Balatro and the Monetization of Hope." It's about Dogpile. It's kind of a video review of Dogpile, but then she also goes into a deeper dive on the entire genre and kind of gambling as a concept, basically, and you know how like gambling games like pachinko and pinball that was outlawed for a while because it used to be closer to pachinko in America before it became what we know as pinball, and about gambling addiction and how that applies to roguelike games and all the games that I play. And it's Jenna Steber. Sorry, I said it wrong.
You got it.
Apologies.
Sweet.
But it's very good.
Cool. Links below for all this stuff, including one from the community. RTTN shared this link in the Get a Load of This channel in the community Discord, which is filled with amazing news and fun tidbits all day, every day. And when this one popped in, I was like, oh my God, this is exactly everything I love. Which is somebody made a gacha game, which I hear you, gross, nasty. Unless certain people in this call really like them still. However, this one.
Wow.
Well, sorry. I was just thinking about your
Me and my horses are going to gallop away from here.
Okay. But they made a gacha game out of Wikipedia where you like rip packs to get random Wikipedia entries. Isn't that a fun idea? Yeah, learning.
Yes,
So there's a link below if you want to check out. You can rip a pack and get a comment for Roberta Robbie Myers, who's the longest-serving editor-in-chief and vice president of brand content of the U.S. edition of the fashion media brand Elle. Now that's a card to keep, everybody.
How do I get packs?
Just, I don't know, click on it or whatever. Donate to Wikipedia, probably. All right. There we go, everybody. That is it for this episode of the MinnMax Show. Thanks, everybody, for watching, listening, sharing, all that fun stuff. We're excited to keep this rolling. Hey, we're excited to keep this rolling into the future. A reminder, we have the Deepest Dive Resident Evil Requiem. We'll have the post up on Patreon coming up this weekend where you can submit your thoughts on the game's ending for us to read in that final discussion there with Blake Hester joining as well. Also, bonus pod, like I mentioned before, it's with Nick, our new production assistant. He gets to know Haley. The first time they've ever talked is on that call. And they hit it off. They go down some dorky Overwatch roads and then also talk about just Nick's history with video production and Nintendo and running fighting game tournaments, a bunch of fun stuff. But a bunch of other stuff happening, including Haley and Sarah continuing their playthrough of Resident Evil Requiem. They have a 9-hour video that's up on MinnMax's YouTube channel right now, and then they're picking it up Thursday evening to finish it off, right? So if you're quick and listening to this, you can jump in live. Sarah?
Yeah, it'll be a good one.
Sweet. Look forward to that if you want to see the ending of Resident Evil Requiem live on MinnMax's Twitch channel. Also on Twitch channel, there we had the whole NVIDIA GeForce Now streams running throughout last month where, Janet and Isaiah streamed Resident Evil Requiem together from a MacBook through the power of GeForce Now, where it's like, hey, things you don't think you can run high-end games on, you can through GeForce Now. That's that entire operation there. So we still are impressed by that tech, and hopefully we'll be doing more of those bonus streams moving into the future. But that is it. We'll be back next week, and New Show Plus returns next week, so stay tuned for that. Thanks, everybody. Until next time, be good, have fun, let's go.